Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tired Podcast That's Tired. How you doing?
Keith is tired again.
I stayed up too late watching Midnight Mass, and then somebody knocked on my door to wake me up with like a surprise kind of breakfast, and I was like, no, I'm not ready. And then I tried to
sleeping.
And then I tried to go and I tried to go back to sleep, and it took a long time. And I don't know what my number was at the end, how much I got. I don't know what my total.
I thought you were talking about a real Midnight Mass, because those are things that happen.
It's the new show from the guy that did Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor. I guess he dumped the naming scheme because he couldn't stretch it anymore.
Good for him, I guess.
What? That seems like a pretty easy naming scheme. How could you not stretch it?
This one
Haunting of your bathroom soap. The Haunting of your driveway.
I guess they could have called it The Haunting of Crockpot Island or whatever the fuck the setting is called. But
yeah.
I don't know if
you
it worked very well.
The Haunting of Midnight Mass.
The whole reason it happened was because the first one was called The Haunting of Hill House because it was an adaptation of The Haunting of Hill House. Although I think it was arguably also an adaptation of another book, even more so. It was like kind of mashed together. But The Haunting of Bly Manor just doesn't even in any way reflect the name of the thing that season 2 was adapting. It was adapting a completely different story that had not even a similar name. But they clearly wanted to because it once again took place at a mansion. They're like, oh, we'll use the same naming scheme as last season in our anthology, and then that'll keep people recognizing that it's like the next story from the same people. But this time it's just like it's just Midnight Mass.
It didn't have ghosts?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. As far as I've seen so far, it doesn't have any haunting in it.
Wow.
What?
Well, that's why it's not called Haunting in the place in the thing. It's got its own shit going on, but it's not a ghost story this time. Although it definitely it kind of makes you think it might be for a bit. It's going places. I'm actually having a good time with it, but I'm also like I can't tell if they're doing it on purpose, where the show is like so predictable that it feels like they're like it's not just foreshadowing or hints. It's like I feel like the show is just telling me what's gonna happen before it happens. Like it's so like I've been able to so blatantly guess what's going to happen next over and over again throughout the entire show from the beginning that I'm like taken aback by it. And to some extent, I guess it's like a little bit of a testament to the idea of like, you know, like a story can be good even if you don't even if it's spoiled already. What does that sound?
That was me, sorry.
Andrew playing the piano.
Vaping.
Vaping the piano.
Yeah.
That sounds a little tough. You have to play a key to like start the burner, and then play another key to take a hit, and then play another key to blow out.
Vape the Piano is the sequel to Walk the Dinosaur.
Oh.
No idea what I'm talking about.
So that means you guys have television.
Obviously, the problem here is you just watch too much media. If you watch less media, then this stuff becomes less predictable. Stop watching stuff.
Exactly.
And start.
I sometimes it's just the act of not paying attention is the secret.
Well, yeah, the majority of surprises in media are like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. What happened 5 minutes ago? Oh, that's shocking. What's happening? Like otherwise it's really, especially horror is really hard to try to like trick you into being shocked by anything, because you're like, let me guess, they're going to stumble upon something. It's like, we found something. Oh no, what? Hey, I can't possibly be the bad thing. Like
I've had a variety of playthroughs where I just blatantly guess like major story reveals, sometimes with other people and sometimes just on my own, but like I'll just really blatantly guess major things. And sometimes the audience will even get mad about it, like I'm spoiling it for them. And I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen, but like these things are just really obvious, so they're following really specific tropes. Like, is it really a prediction to say that the voice of God character in a puzzle game will betray you? Like, at this point, it's shocking when they don't do that.
That's
like just a base. It's a basic element of the genre. Is like you're being lied to about the basic premise of what's happening in the game, and the person talking to you the whole game is probably the bad guy. And it's like,
I think some people just don't like to, because to some people it's something that they probably were surprised or thought was really a good twist, and so you being just like, oh yeah, that seems really obvious and dumb. Like it's it feels disappointing when you're like, oh, I'm just an idiot for not seeing such an obvious trope. And it's like, you don't want to be rude, but like, yes, like most of these tropes are pretty obvious. Like if you don't notice them, you just don't watch enough stuff. You need to consume more media if you can't see these tropes coming miles away.
No, it's the opposite moral of the story. Consume less media so that you can be surprised by it when you do consume it.
I guess, but then just don't watch other people consuming the same media because you're going to be disappointed.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's why it's the chaos option to just consume Zero Escape, where it's just so incoherently written that it just defies half of the predictions you could make because it's just fucking absurd. I can't wait. I can't wait for when the episode goes public. That is the one that's just gnawing at the back of our consciousness for the last few months.
Is it the one that I guessed with that comment that somebody was like, funny you should say that?
I already forgot what that comment was.
Yeah, I don't remember what that comment was.
I'm not going to say it, though.
But yeah, I was mad at that person, though. But I deleted their comment after I kind of like
I deleted mine as well.
Talk shit at them for doing that, but then I also deleted my comment and their comment because I just like, this is just spoiling it for people. So like I literally opened that playthrough with a rant about how when people like make guesses or predictions, people are like ooh in some stupid form in the response, and it's like, yeah, you dumb motherfucker, you're just spoiling it. Like even though you're not literally, even though you're not literally saying the words of the spoiler, reacting in a ooh or like side eye or like funny you should say that, elbow to the ribs, like reactions to like somebody saying something. You're just telling them what happens in the game by doing that. So like that person was just spoiling the game for you by responding like, and it's like literally in the playthrough where I opened with a rant about exactly that behavior being so stupid, and that's how quickly they forget. I'm like, I'm so fucking frustrated with that person and anyone that behaves that way. To be fair,
it was episode 20 something, so it's like it's been 20 something hours.
No, it hasn't, because the whole series is only 22 episodes long. We're not there yet.
Not episode 20 something?
No. It's not been that far. It's like halfway through the playthrough and they're spoiling like the ending for you, probably. I don't remember what the fucking comment was now. There's obviously...
it doesn't matter.
Because it's Zero Escape and they never settle for having like a twist. It goes... It's just asinine. Like, it's like... And here's the... It's always like, here's the last few hours of the game. Time for 12 twists. And you're like... Fuck. Eventually there's enough layered twists that you're like, I don't even know what this means overall. I think that's less true for the Zero Time Dilemma, but more true for Virtue's Last Reward, where there was like so many layered twists in the final section that by the end you're like, wait, how do these twists interact and what does that actually mean for the story? Like, can I even follow what's happening anymore? That's when things get really asinine. I don't think I had trouble following what happened in Zero Time Dilemma. It's just the twist. It's the 1-2 punch where you're just like, oh god, there's another one. I can't handle another one. I'm still dealing with the other one, and it was so much. How could you do this to me?
Yeah.
But then there's other ones you just fucking predict like immediately, and you're like, oh yeah, obviously.
Let's not make this podcast about rambling about Zero Escape Dilemma.
That's every podcast. I'll give you a hint. Every time I'm not talking about Zero Escape, I'm actually talking about Zero Escape.
Man.
That's like how everything's a secret commentary on capitalism, but it's actually just Zero Escape. All commentaries about capitalism are secretly commentaries on Zero Escape.
It really is. That's just how
you gotta follow the subtext.
Anytime there's ever a mistake in your life or kind of a disappointment or any kind of like horrible tragedy, it's just Zero Escape. Like, it did that to you. It's the reason that happened.
Speaking of critiques of capitalism, I watched Squid Game. I was a little late too. I
don't know what that is.
You don't know what Squid Game is?
Why would I know what that is?
It's a Korean...
Is it an anime?
It's a... no, but it's Korean.
Then there's your answer.
It's a Korean death game.
Okay, so like battle royale. Is it Fortnite? Do they do any like floss dances when they kill each other?
It's more game showy, but with death. So it's like
Cube?
a bunch of it's like Kaiji.
It's Cube, yeah.
It's actually a lot like Kaiji. It's a lot like Kaiji.
Oh, okay.
It's so much like Kaiji that if I talk about it, I'll have to rewatch all of Kaiji. If I do like a video about it.
Okay, talk about it.
I'll have to rewatch all of Kaiji, and I'll have to rewatch the Circle.
Not very long. It's pretty easy.
It's 2 shows or seasons is a lot. One of the games. One of the games is just one of the games from Kaiji, basically, and you're like, oh, okay, here we are.
Oh, that's disappointing.
You're like
it's not the rip off a Kaiji game. Come on.
It's not like the exact thing, but it's like, when you see it, you'll be like, oh yeah, I know which one I know which one you're talking about here. The exact, like it has some of the same dynamics of what people are doing and so on.
Is it season 1 or season 2 Kaiji?
Season 1.
What? Okay.
Yeah, there's some shit going down, but no, it's about poor people that are down on their luck and they're desperate, and there's this predatory game that tracks people and finds the most desperate people and gets them to join this game, and little do they know that it's a fucking death game. Like they don't even know going in, so it's like fun surprises for everybody, and it's just about the leveraging of class dynamics just all the way through, about like how the rich use systems to make the poor compete with each other and view each other as the enemy when they're obviously not, and the various tactics they use to divide them and so on, and just kind of a gross commentary on just the weird, distressing nature of game shows in general, even. Because they're pretty much all about like, wow, let's dangle this hope for over a bunch of lower class people, and this show made by rich people, and it's like, wow, oh, I'm sorry, the word you were looking for was bodega. I guess your dreams are dead now. Like, just the growth. Like, I do not like game shows. They're uncomfortable because of like the inherent the inherent monetary element of it that's just like distressing. It's just a lot sometimes, but that was a fun show to watch, and it kept making different points each episode, and it was like fun seeing the progression of it because it was an entire show instead of just a standalone movie. And fuck, I'll have to rewatch 3% also if I talk about it. Fuck.
Okay, Kaiji and 3%. Two down, one to go.
I mean, at some point,
I had this idea where I'd be discussing these things, and I'd be like glitching in and out of parallel, like discussing of other similar media, but without acknowledging that I am. It's like the screen just like, and then I'm like just like in a different video essay for a second, and it's like analogous because these things are all kind of discussing the same things with different nuances and so on.
They are pretty, yeah.
I also watched it dubbed, so everyone gets to be mad at me.
Oh, that's a mistake.
I watched the entire thing. Dubbing is getting good.
Dubbing is never going to get good.
Sometimes dubbing is
good.
That's
a generous comment to make.
I kind of knew this a little bit from but it's better than 3%, which I also watched dubbed. But live action dubbing has been improving surprisingly. Because I had until 3%, I had not experienced it until since Godzilla movies. So it was hilariously bad and just nothing. And I think I once watched Battle Royale with dubbing because I was wanting to show family it, and they did not want subtitles. And yeah, but 3% was an improvement on Battle Royale if I remember correctly, but Squid Game was way better dubbing than I'm used to from anything live action, where I just kind of would forget I was dubbed for chunks of it basically. And that was neat. But I don't know. I still I like dubbing for a lot of things because I like looking at facial expressions and watching the show as opposed to kind of multitasking. I've already processed too much about how humans are just not nearly as good at multitasking as they think they are. And so I think that people inherently miss more reading subtitles than they think they do, just like how they think they can sneak a glance to their phone in the middle of a let's play, and then everyone's waiting for them to say their line. And when are they going to say their line? Should we say it? Should we say something? Should we say their name? Hey, Effie, Andrew. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I spend a lot of time reading subtitles and watching something, so I have a pretty good. I don't really struggle to do that. There are times where, if there's a lot of information happening on the screen, like sometimes there'll be like a lot of, like a cell phone or a computer
Let's Play
screen.
stuff though, where like unless you're being judged the entire time, you have no way of knowing how much you are and aren't missing.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty rare that I
but
find
people
myself
love to
unable to
draw
follow
lines
through.
to gatekeep over though and feel smug about, which is half the reason why it's an argument all the time. Like pineapples.
I guess it depends. It's again, I think the original language has a lot more context and a lot more,
which is useless if you don't speak it.
Well, yeah, which is why I don't. I mean,
unless you're going to learn the language of every media you consume, then it's like it's useless. Like one of the biggest problems I have with subtitles is that like listening to the actor's performance doesn't work because they fundamentally speak differently than I do. It's not like a fucking word replace where they're just speaking an English script, but they're all gibberish words that are shuffled sounding, but they can act the English. Like it's like, no, their entire sentence structure is different. Like if I'm reading left to right on the subtitles, that doesn't match with like the sing-along cadence of like the left to right of their words that they're saying out loud. So like I don't know what words they're emphasizing. All nuances of the performance are gone. So you're basically better off having a dub that tries to actually recreate the nuances of what you're supposed to get from it and hope that it's good, because reading subtitles, you can't read you can't understand the nuances of their performance. All you know is that, oh, that entire line sounded shouty and that entire line sounded sad, but like people put a nuance into every word of their performance, and that doesn't work when the moment you're dealing with a language that literally structures their sentences completely differently from English, so you genuinely can't follow how their speech works.
Yeah, and all the inflections and subtitles. I don't know. I think that
subtitles that recreate Japanese sentence structure with English words, and you just have to figure out what the fuck it means.
So what will happen a lot of the time is that they will take sentences and cut them in half, so you can only see one part of the sentence, which is the part that they're saying first, and then you see the second part of the sentence. And there's like some parts you're missing because they're saying a lot of like the verbiage first, but it's still.
No, they say the nouns
or
first.
The nouns
though.
first. Sorry, they're saying the nouns first, but still,
you see a lot of them going like, "Me, that table," and then they don't finish the sentence, and nobody doesn't finish the sentence like that. If you're not going to finish the sentence, you're just going to say, "I sat down," and then you don't finish it. But of course, it works differently in Japanese.
It just
I think
there's nuances that are important, like like it's interesting to know that like, oh shit, that character specifically is supposed to have an accent and so on. And it's like, well, I can't, I'm not going to know he's supposed to have an accent if he's speaking Japanese or Korean or whatever in a show where everyone speaks Japanese or Korean. I'm not going to notice like, oh, that's a Pakistan Korean accent. Like I can't fucking tell that. But if everyone's speaking English in the dub and then he's got an accent, it's like, oh, okay. So like he is definitely not. He's not naturalized or like whatever the word is for like, is it naturalized? Yeah. He wasn't born in Korea. He specifically is a recent immigrant.
But again, subtitles can solve this problem by using half words to insinuate that they are speaking in like a. This is like something Japanese has this problem where
I wouldn't know how to dictate a Pakistan Korean accent textually. Like how would you be
saying words incorrectly.
Well, they do a lot, but the problem is then they have those weird jokes that 999 has, and it like.
Well, no, 999 has terrible translation. I would not use 999 as an excuse. 999 was translated by a bunch of fucking clowns with earmuffs on.
Yeah, no, it's like Yakuza. Is the as far as I can tell, is like a gold standard of like they will just write a new joke if the old joke doesn't translate.
Yeah, it's great. Does it well, I feel
it'll be like the right style or whatever. Like it'll be a new pun because you can't.
Which is fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind if you want to write something else.
Otaku means plan.
What? What is that from 999?
No.
Oh,
it's just I've iterated.
Oh,
I've,
I see.
I've done a crime.
I didn't.
Still, it's the I again, it's whatever makes it easier for you to consume content. I don't really care at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But the even if it's a language I don't understand, I always trust subtitles more. I always try to watch it subtitled because I trust that more.
No matter what, there's just nuances you will just never get unless you just like find some Twitter thread or video essay that explains the thing that you could never understand. Like how there's one character that's a refugee from North Korea in the South Korean show, and both the subtitles and the dub will in no way convey the fact that apparently she speaks with a North Korean accent, but she specifically only speaks that way around her brother in like the orphanage scenes, but then in all the but she hides her accent throughout the rest of the show when she's around all the South Korean characters. And it's like, all right, well, that's not that'll never translate. Like, there's no way to fucking know that. Not unless you want to like pull one of those anime moves where everyone speaks like with a like we're gonna make these characters arbitrarily speak like in a Texan accent, and like, oh, she's not speaking with her Texan accent. She must be hiding her accent, which is the thing that some anime does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Phoenix
yes
Wright.
And no. So like, Japanese actually has different accents. Different prefectures have different accents.
I understand that. But my point is that that was my example. Actually, that's what I'm talking about. But listeners won't be able to tell. Like most listeners won't be able to tell that unless you're like really deep down the fucking iceberg at some point. That's why. But you'll have like stuff like Phoenix Wright. Yeah. Like I think the lady with the fro like speaks in a different prefecture's accent, and that's like the point. But there's like she's Southern in the English dub of Phoenix Wright because they're trying to give you the feel of her being from somewhere else, but without trying to be like, here's a giant asterisk and we got to explain she's actually from Hokkaido or whatever the fuck. And there's like there's context here that we have to explain for 30 minutes before you get, and then most people will skip it.
And then you even if you explain that, then you're like, wait, the Hokkaido exists in the world of Phoenix Wright?
Yeah.
What is this?
The Phoenix Wright setting is confusing. There's something. Something's going on
real,
there.
Is it?
Well, doesn't Phoenix Wright take place in Japan?
Does it? I don't know. There's so much American stuff. It feels like
Pretty sure Phoenix Wright takes place in.
I think it takes place in Japan, but in the translation, it takes place in America, and they just like file the serial numbers off, which leads to that incredible. Awkward zombie joke of like, eat your hamburgers, Apollo, and they're like sitting at the American tonkatsu in their robes, and they have like rice balls or something, and like, eat your hamburgers, Apollo. I fucking love that comic so much.
I remember that. Oh my god.
Which is funny because like, I don't know.
That DLC was weird though.
The DLC
was right?
So long.
Yeah.
The one where this American setting has like this she's a sushi door-to-door bento person, and you're like, what? All right.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't change the art much, so it's just gonna be a sushi themed character in this totally not in Japan game.
And the Japanese version, it's just a town in Japan, where in English it's in Los Angeles.
It's really funny.
Which is I didn't really think about the idea that like one of the main characters is from a like spiritual village. So how the fuck do you translate that in English?
You don't.
Nope.
Okay, cool. That's great.
You just don't translate it at all. That's the secret. Because like literally right next to you is somebody in like spiritual robes and all that, and you're like, I mean, honestly, that's not that un-American. Like the specifics, obviously.
No, but their home is literally like a spiritual village where there's like, they are the head family of this village who are good at mediums, and like they live in a really fancy, rich Japanese house.
Yeah, I know the specifics are different, but there's just the fact that it's just like, oh yeah, it's There's plenty.
Oh, it's just a cult.
There's
It's
plenty
fine. We have tons of
like
those in the
that
US.
here. Yeah.
Make her like a Scientology person. It's fine. No one will question you.
Oh no.
Los Angeles, right? It's just part of Scientology. It's fine.
Is Scientology more of a thing in Los Angeles?
I mean, it's probably it's where all the money is.
Oh, fair.
It's pretty blatantly just a grift to just sap money from people, and like, oh, where can we find the richest people to grift? It's like, oh, well, there's just rich people here.
Is it a grift? I thought it was just like a tax scheme.
Well, that's a grift, right? The tax dodging operation is still a grift, especially if people are putting time in it.
I mean, there's like fucked up stories about like indoctrination shit on a boat and like not being able to leave and stuff like that. That sounds
but those are regular people.
Yeah, but it's like it's beyond like just being like a we're just kind of cosplaying as a thing and using the benefits or whatever, or it's definitely not like the Church of Satanism, which people struggle to understand does not worship Satan because they don't believe in Satan.
That's not what Satanism is.
Satanism does believe in the Church of Satan. They're not Satanists.
Wait,
they're the Church of Satan.
The Church of Satan aren't Satanists?
No.
No, I'm not too informed. So yeah,
they're from my understanding, from what I've heard, they're basically just a progressive organization. That like masquerades as a religious order or something. Stephanie would talk about it for a long time.
I'll give you a handy reference link or a reference sheet. There you go.
Thank you.
Educate yourself.
That's a lot of Z's.
Yeah, it's also
the kids' quick reference guide to Satanism. We're saying all the words today. This is going to be a super demonetized
YouTube doesn't
episode.
care about that.
We haven't said the word.
Did you see?
Calm
Speaking
down.
of the word,
Don't have a gamer moment.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be a gamer, guys.
I'm gonna have a gamer moment.
Did you see how YouTube is now apparently gonna ban all content that is
from gamers? Finally, thank God, peace will restore to the internet.
No, I should look it up and just say it outright.
It's all misinformation about COVID.
I think it's anti-vax in general.
Yeah, that stuff makes me nervous.
Are they really? It's only
not because of like the goal, but because like it's going to be done algorithmically, and you just know someone's channel is going to get like deleted. They're like, what?
My problem is that the big channels
wait a
that
second.
are actually.
That can't be right. It's 2021. That means they've let this information go around for like 2 years without being contested. Is that safe? I think that might have been too late now. I think they've kind of been too late.
Just the announcement that their algorithm is going to like try to in any way like moderate COVID misinformation the same week that like fucking I can't believe you've done this was taken down for like violence or whatever is like makes me fucking nervous. I'm like, I don't
know what happened there. What is the I can't believe you've done this?
There's just some old meme video where I don't even remember the fucking video that well anymore, but I just remember the reaction was the guy being like, I can't believe you've done this. And it's just like a silly short, I think it's a short video, like less than a minute or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like a skit, just like a short skit.
And it's video. Like, it's just a really old video at this point that people just know. And it was taken down this weekend, I believe, for violent content.
Yes.
It's just like...
And it was appealed and still failed.
It's just a big old case of what the fuck. But apparently, they appealed it and it was still... And then it was rejected, which just, once again, just reminds you that, like, nobody actually looks at your appeals on YouTube. It's just another layer of bot or something. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
The fancier version of it.
Well, it goes through a funnel. Yeah, it says you get flagged by a robot. You say, this isn't right. Another robot goes, no, I think that robot's right. And then you can go, all right, I swear to God, this robot, like, if this video is flagged, then I'm taking it to the head honcho. And the head honcho goes,
I'm also a robot.
Yeah.
Or it's like it's like a computer bank in India of like overworked people that just kind of glance at it and be like, I don't know, probably. And they just have a gut reaction without looking that much into your content as somebody that like just has to process a billion videos.
Tell me when it was the last time that you heard of a Joe Rogan video being taken down, and then.
I mean, Joe Rogan's not on YouTube, really.
He is.
Kind of. They upload like some highlights or whatever, but like he moved on to Spotify like a while ago. That was the big story.
I know.
Spotify bought him out. So they just upload highlights to YouTube every now and then. Basically, just as an ad to go to his Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Man, imagine paying money for that guy.
Yeah.
Or
I remember I listened to his podcast in like 2012 or something when I was in college. Like I tried it because it was just popular, and I was like, oh, it's the Fear Factor guy. Let's try that guy out or whatever. Because I was just like in my podcast awakening or whatever, and feeling more and more time for my commute. And part of it was funny that he was just like the first person that I knew that had a lot of ads for like sex products and things. And it was like back and forth between like a masturbatory aids and like brain fixing, like brain super pills, like that kind of shit where people are like, oh, it's my,
oh my God,
my pill. It's the pill that makes you really smart, or there's a word for it. Nootropics, like the fucking nootropics ads that are just like brain homeopathy. So he's like back and forth rapidly between those. That was every ad was like masturbatory aids and those, and it's like I wonder what his audience might be like. But the episodes weren't very good, so I only listened to like 2.
Why is it called masturbatory aids? They're sex toys.
No, they're.
Well, no. I mean like literally masturbatory aids, as in like you use them to jack off.
That's what sex toys are. They're masturbatory aids.
Yeah, but there's a specific act that is evoked when you say masturbation, especially when you're definitely an all-male audience. So it's more specific.
All I'm saying is that
it's a Venn diagram where one circle is completely inside the other one.
It's like in The Witcher.
That's just called sex.
Geralt doesn't.
Can't lie to me.
It's like in The Witcher. Geralt doesn't pick flowers. He picks herbs. It's different. He's not picking flowers. It's the same thing. He doesn't have sex toys.
Translation
error. He has masturbatory aids.
I don't know if people are saying masturbatory aid instead of sex toy because it's like more masculine or anything.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm pretty sure masturbatory aids is a more embarrassing phrase.
Yeah, they just call it whatever the thing is.
Because sex toys implies that you are wanted and active and you are adventurous, and masturbatory aids sounds like you're in front of your computer alone. Yes.
When you type in masturbatory aids, it just comes up with sex toys as the first result.
I'm not gonna type in that.
So
I think they
what? Oh, right. Like the internet's gonna judge me at this point. Like it's good luck.
Not about judging. It's not about judging. It's just I don't want the suggestions that come out.
Don't you want more correct? You don't want your Facebook to be full of like special
ads.
Facebook, yeah.
I don't have any ads in my internet, so I don't know what I can think.
I block a lot of the ads as well.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw an ad. I think it was probably like on accident.
There's a special adventure you can go on when you're on Twitter where you just keep blocking every ad one by one. And
I do that all the time.
Yeah, but like it'll still serve you ads, but it'll just get more and more weird.
They're gonna be completely promoting the tweets with one like.
Yeah, you start getting ads that are just more and more like esoteric and strange because like every single ad that like has real money behind it, you've already blocked all of those companies. So you're not getting any Ritz crackers, so now it's time for some weird shit.
That's the real end game of Twitter. When all of your
the
ads
final boss is when you've blocked the final ad.
Twitter has been better. I think they made the interface a little bit better for ads recently, because it used to be that the promoted bit showed up at the bottom of the tweet rather than at the top, and now it shows up at the top. It shows promoted right at the top. So it's really easy for you not to actually look at promoted tweets if you just see the promoted and you're immediately drawn to the block button. But it used to be.
Do you scroll? I scroll in the opposite direction on Twitter.
Oh, I scroll down.
I'm always scrolling up, like I'm catching up or something. Either way, it doesn't matter much because it just will randomly skip at one point, and you'll you'll be like, where was I? And then
that's why I scroll down.
Yeah. It also will do that bullshit where instead of being, it'll just start looping the same tweets over and over again. Like, are you sure you don't want to interact with that one? It's like, no, I already saw it. The fuck?
No, it'll loop even if you interact with them. That's the thing. It'll just show tweets that are already liked. Because I don't follow that many
There's also
people.
like part of me that kind of still wants to look at a tweet after I've interacted with it, but like the moment you interact with a tweet and then hit the back button to like go back to your timeline, it's the same timeline, but you literally watch that tweet disappear. And it's like, wait, this is gone.
But that was the stuff I liked.
What if I wanted to look at the picture again or something, like whatever the fuck? Yep. Like it'll just take it away because you responded to it, and it just decides that means that it does. You shouldn't have it in your life anymore. Twitter's a weird platform.
We got all of we wanted from you. What I was gonna say is that after a while, when Twitter would just point to promoted bit at the bottom instead of the top, after a while I developed this sixth sense where I'm just scrolling through my timeline, and then I see this tweet, and I'm like, promoted alert. That's it. And I look at the bottom, promoted, and it happened every time. Every time I see some, I like it. There was a point where I just could tell every time, no problem. And Twitter would never fool me. And these days, it just gave up, and still they tell me outright.
Should be as obvious as possible. Otherwise, it's just fucking weird. But Twitter's got its own weird shit going on where it'll just be like stuff will just show up in your timeline. And it's just like topic, and it's like, why do I want to watch that topic? I'm not following that topic.
The other day I got suggested.
It's not a person. It doesn't even make the claim that like somebody I follow liked it. It's just like, this topic. We're just gonna throw it at you.
The other day I got a suggestion for a topic, adventure, follow topic adventure. And who was it? Was the husband of a person I follow, just talking about the person I follow. And I'm like, well, yeah, that is I mean, just I actually ended up following them because they're funny. They're a comedian. But still, it's weird. Why did you think it was adventure?
Yeah. So the increasing desperation and weirdness of the behaviors of Twitter, I guess it has to do with like the I don't remember if you said this, so sorry if you're the one that said this to me or if I saw it from somewhere else.
Plagiarize me.
But there's this idea that like apparently Twitter just kind of stopped growing, so now they're just like trying to endlessly milk engagement through increasingly desperate and sometimes just toxic approaches to just trying to get the people that are on it to engage with it more and more because nobody is joining Twitter. It's like Twitter is over.
That wasn't.
Yeah,
Facebook
is the same problem. Facebook has already reached this magnum opus. The problem now is trying to retain all of these people from leaving to other platforms, which is why they keep buying other platforms because they're trying to like keep the ecosystem alive. Where it's like, well, we bought Instagram, so that way, like, at least people when they leave Facebook, they just go to Instagram. Thank God. Like, but
like we already went to like all young people moving to Instagram, then all young people moving to TikTok, or it was Snapchat, then TikTok, and it's just like it just keeps going. Like there's no
young people.
It never loops back. They're not going to be like, oh, now the young people are going to Twitter again. It's like the Rage platform that I grew up hearing was horrible.
Never doing that. I mean, it's not the Snapchat and
all the embarrassing AMC shows have hashtags in the corner. I'm pretty sure I don't want to join Twitter. I'll be like them.
Wait. They do that in television? They have hashtags in the television show?
Every fucking television show has them.
A decade ago.
Oh my God.
Live television has hashtags on the screen, and like as the commercial break starts, they'll like tell you to like tweet about the show and stuff like that and be part of the live experience, which is like its way fucking, if you're on the West Coast, it's a hilarious thing because it's the worst idea. Because if you go on Twitter, it's all spoilers because everyone else already watched the show.
No,
it's such a bad idea to be like.
Yeah, you could do
everybody.
You could do like hashtags. You could do hashtag Squid Game, for example, and you'll be able to see all of the spoilers for Squid Game.
Yeah.
Wow. You could do any like football games, sporting events also have hashtags.
But that makes sense though, right? Because especially if the commentator team like gets feedback, like that happens in Formula One. It has always happened since I've started watching. Excuse me, is where commentators will just take comments from people, and it just tweet at us or call us. Back in the old days, they would do that here in Portugal. The commentator team didn't have a for Formula One. I'm talking Formula One here. Our commentator team didn't have people on the circuit, so they just watched the FIA feed, the general feed that goes to every country, and they just commentate over it. So there was a lot of things that they couldn't talk about, so they had to fill up time, and they just take calls in the middle of commentary whenever like before the race or stuff like that. The F1 teams these days do that for Twitter.
Racing commentary sounds so boring.
His wheels are spinning. He is going approximately 47 miles an hour. He has made a left turn. Like
there's a lot of constant strategy. The problem, like some races can be boring because nothing changes. Like if you say, racist. "Oh, yes," like if there's a situation where this person is catching up and they're in better tires or whatever, and you explain what's going on, and then 10 minutes after it's still the same thing, that's boring. But a lot of F1 not so much, but a lot of other categories, they're always interesting because you're going to be talking about who this driver is, what they do, or where they came from. So you can fill the dead time with that. But there's a lot of action, especially in lower categories. F1 is just bad because the cars are too wide and heavy and fast.
I don't know. I always think back to I think horse races and
horse races must be amazing. You start shouting at the beginning, and then when it's done, you shout. You stop shouting. That's it. Is it amazing?
I don't really. I don't pay attention to anything.
Nobody understands anything you're saying, or is paying attention. Exactly.
So with horse races, all that matters is the outcome. It doesn't matter what's happening during the race. It doesn't matter before the race. Nothing matters except for the outcome. And so before the race, you just do the math and you go okay, statistically speaking, this person's probably going to win. So it's probably best to put money on them. And then that's it. Then you move on with your life. And you don't they say this is the race happening. You go, okay, cool. I'll keep this in mind. So let me hear what happens at the end. But there's a guy yelling at you about which horse is coming out of the bend and they're coming out of the bend. It's I don't care.
That's the one. Dude. Yeah.
I'm just here for just tell me who wins. Wake me up.
I don't think horse racing is a fantastic sport because I think it's
until you hear about how they treat the horses.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's awful. Absolutely. But it's just it's basically
this
only
conversation
propped
is
up by
very
gambling.
funny because you guys haven't watched Squid Game.
Oh,
is there horse race betting in there? Probably. I mean, that's probably.
Well, it opens with a horse race as for theming for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah.
And then you're so horse racing is a great sport as long as you don't think about how they treat the horses. And I'm
no.
Yep,
I was gonna say
it's there it is. That's Squid Game. That's.
I was gonna say
you're just quoting
it's
Squid Game practically.
It's only propped up by gambling.
Stole that. Thank you very much.
It's really funny.
Because
I was going to say that I want my royalties.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying any of his original ideas. Squid Game's so it's standing on the shoulders of an entire genre, but it was just this is so weirdly specific.
Yeah,
just got there organically with no prompting from the person that actually watched the show to just end up talking about it on accident.
I don't know. It's funny. Sports commentary is always funny to me. It's always it feels like it was a lot more necessary back in radio days, where it's when no one can see what the hell's happening. But now that we have television, I mean, I guess blind people probably need commentary so they know what's going on. But outside of you having a disability that requires the narration happening,
do people actually look at the television though? Even for it doesn't matter what sport it is.
I think
a lot of people consume sports the way they consume Let's Plays, which is that they just multitask the whole time and then they look at the screen when something exciting sounding happens.
I do that absolutely. IMSA Racing is a fantastic channel on YouTube. You go and watch them.
Just waiting for us to raise our voices.
You're not supposed to watch the sports.
It's hours and hours of all online. You can just watch cars go around all day. And it's just the sounds of motors in the background as you program or do whatever.
We spend way too much money as taxpayers to make these giant, audacious, fucking hideous stadiums to fit all of these dumb people in them. And you're telling me people don't watch the fucking game? What's the point? You're just going to make a stupid football field in the back of a goddamn
stadium. I imagine people in the stadium watch more than the people on TV.
They probably are for.
Oh God, I hope so.
But most of the people are watching on TV.
Yeah, on TV you're having dinner or talking with your friends, or
TV is a better way to experience most sports because in the stadium you can't see shit.
Well, it's that's also true, but
you're
why?
Just there to know that you were there. It's like watching it's like being at a concert instead of watching a music video.
Do you really think that, Keith?
To an extent, yeah. It's really hard to see a lot of sports in a stadium compared to via the cameras.
I've only been to stadium, to football stadium. I mean, soccer, whatever. a couple of times. So like a real proper big league.
I mean, if you're watching
football.
baseball, you have to be told whether or not they caught it. It's a
but in
little
football,
ball.
it's
It's way
easy.
the fuck over there. How the fuck are you
So,
gonna see
like,
it?
Football is easier, I think, in person.
And then you got
I
these
think you can see
races
better.
where you just can't see most of the course. One of the
Oh, the
funniest
races
one.
are
One of the
definitely-
funniest things is every form of like country race where it's like you just see like a turn.
Country race. You mean like cycling? Those are the worst.
Or like-
It's just-
or like
it's
motor-
like 200
like,
200
There's also like
kilometers
there's
of a
also
race.
like car and motorcycle races that are on paths instead of in
they're like in
NASCAR or
wooded
whatever.
areas, and you're like,
And
all right,
it's like
bye.
you just hang out.
Rally is
to
cool.
Hear the big
Yeah.
vroom at one turn, and then I don't know,
And get rocks thrown at
you
your
get told
face.
via like a newsletter a week later who won.
Yeah.
because you sure as fuck
Or
aren't
just
going to
check-
see it in person.
You check it on your phone. It's fine. Rally
So
watching
you're
is fun.
So most of it's just you not being there.
Yeah, but like you see the cars
it's
up close.
It's a
though.
tool assisted speed watch.
It's easy to underestimate just how little everything is on television. Even if you have a huge ass
What?
television, yeah, everything is small. Like in person, it's just enormous. Everything is right there.
You mean like how
Like-
big the
well, it's
room is and stuff?
It's a car. It's not good.
Yeah,
It's not
like
like a clown car. I don't think
No, no,
like it's a
what I'm
bunch
saying-
of like.
No, what I'm saying is like the impact it has on you. I think I started talking about football specifically because I really
Well,
saw.
that's the thing
a
is like
big
people go to
difference.
concerts and watch sports for like a series of emotional feelings that are
That too.
beyond the
That too.
actual observing of the
Well,
sport.
I mean, there are some times that like in a concert,
Yeah.
for example, you get a performance on top of the music that you wouldn't get just listening to the music. I guess you could technically watch a music performance concert if they have that, if they've recorded that concert. But literally every fucking football game's recorded. Every football game has
Yeah,
like
but I think
7,
in person,
8, 9 fucking cameras. One of them just flies across the fucking field while the
They
ball's
even,
running.
They
Like,
even
you
draw
can- you can-
lines. I was really impressed the first time I
Yeah.
noticed that they have like CG now in like sports
They
that like
do.
help
Yeah,
communicate
yeah,
information. Like oh here's
Yeah.
the here's the whatever the fuck line that it's called that everyone's going to group at in
the
football.
offside, off
I don't
game.
know what football
whatever.
is.
Yeah.
And I mean our football.
Oh, that one I have no
There's
idea.
like a
how you do
line
American
that's
football.
like where everyone's going to gather. It's like where the ball dropped last round or
It's
whatever.
Touchdown.
the
That's what it is.
Yeah,
It's not a
start.
touchdown. I know that's not. I know enough to know that that's wrong.
I believe that's the
don't know.
starting line.
It's
That's
just
what
called the
they call
starting line.
it. Yeah. You're talking about where they all crouch over and they're like,
Yeah, it's where every play starts
yeah, that's the starting line.
because it's where the last play stopped because the ball hit there.
It's
And there's just stuff like that.
yeah, it shows you where like first downs
Yeah.
are. It shows you like which side. So they'll do CGI for the actual goal, and they'll tell you like which goal belongs to which team, and they'll show like which side they're from. It's a lot better to watch on TV. Like watching football live
I
is
know, I
just not a
disagree.
fun experience.
I mean, maybe not American
sorry.
football. but
American football is
soccer.
not fun to watch live. It's way more fun to watch on a television
then you
because you
have
get
the
way more
popcorn.
information. You
Watching
could get
popcorn.
popcorn at home. You could get better and cheaper hot dogs at home. I'm telling you right now, there's
I
nothing a
want the
stadium
authentic
offers you.
experience of paying a nightmarish, cartoonish,
How much money?
seemingly
How much money
is a
popcorn?
false amount of money for stadium food.
So yeah, so stadium food is always
it's
going
like
to be
movie
like
theater food, but
yeah,
worse.
it's like movie, yeah.
which is impossible. Because
They'll sell
movie
you like a
theaters
hot dog for like $8, and it's stupid.
$8
like
a
fuck
hot
off.
dog.
Yes, because
Yeah.
how do you
Oh
think they make their money?
God.
They're not making their money any other way except you buying stupid concessions. It's fucking garbage. No one. I hate
That's
stadiums. They're
incredible.
dumb. They're a huge waste of money. Just like make people go play football in the middle of a field somewhere. I don't give a shit. Just
Those
get it
were
out
the
of here.
days. Those were the days.
God. Well,
It's,
yeah. I wish we
food-
could go back.
It's so fucking expensive to get food at any venue, concert or sport or theater.
And
where it's just like
the worst part
you're
is
like-
that,
you always like ask for like two things, like a bag of candy and like a soda or like a popcorn or a hot dog or something, and then the
$20.
fucking price is like $20 at the theater.
Yeah.
And you're like, who the fuck
Jesus
are you? Disney really raked you guys out, huh? Jesus Christ.
Like, and at least theaters are nice because theaters you can definitely just sneak food in, but stadiums are a lot harder to sneak food in. They usually have like
Why?
actual checkpoints because they have
checkpoints.
because
that's
everything changed in fucking history in the 2000s. So everything sucks now. Like every time you go to a concert, anytime you go to I'm saying like concerts, stadiums, all that stuff has checkpoints, security checkpoints, and they like make sure you don't bring anything, no food, no water, no clothes half the time, and like just keep it all out. And so, a movie theater doesn't give a shit. A movie theater's like, look, please come in here. God, just somebody show up here for fucking sake. I don't care what you do. Just
they're
take
more desperate than ever
desperate
before.
now.
Yeah, they're like, you could bring a whole fucking McDonald's in. I don't give a shit. Just come watch a movie, please. So like, movie theaters don't hassle you if you bring stuff in. But
I'm always a little surprised
stadiums,
that they never introduced like scanning things for your tickets on the doors for getting in the theater.
They don't do that
go
in
anymore.
US?
I'll steal a goddamn movie ticket before I pay reasonable prices for movie tickets. Who the hell are you?
They do that here in Europe. They scan the ticket. You put the ticket in the machine and that's it.
Oh, that actually happens? Yeah, in the United States, as far as I've ever seen, there's at most like there's the concessions room, and then there's the opening to where all the theaters are, and there's like one teenager that's like will like glance at your ticket and be like, oh yeah, go left or whatever, and so you're like obviously expected to have a ticket to go past them, but afterwards you just hang out all day and watch movies like if you never leave.
Oh yeah, that happens. That happens here as well. But like you have you need to pass the ticket to pass the
Yeah, I've seen 4 movies the same day before.
So there is a person. So once you get into the movie,
the secret is the bathrooms on that side of the ticket checker. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so the idea here is like you can't just walk into the movie theater. You have to have a ticket to get past the initial gate. So you have to take you have to go to the front, buy a movie ticket, go into the building, and they say, "Give me your fucking ticket." You give them the ticket, and then they're like, "All right, welcome to the amusement park. Just go fucking watch whatever movies you want. Buy some concessions, please."
And honestly, they're not even checking
arcade.
that hard. Like if they're busy enough, like you could probably just walk by while they're with somebody else, and
Yeah,
like, they won't even
most
notice.
of it is an honor system, and
They'll
honestly,
just
at the
assume
end
that
of the
you're
day,
like going
it's-
back,
Yeah, I worked at a movie theater for like a year.
and no one's paid enough to care.
No one's paid enough to care. I guarantee you that. Also,
nothing, but that's a bad thing.
I was also not paid enough to give a shit whether you're in the military or
How
not. I don't
mad
care.
do you
can-
have
if
to be the guy that like sells concessions all fucking day, and like every single individual sale with anybody for concessions is more than you're being paid that hour, and you're definitely processing like 100 people or more.
It gets so boring.
It is not a good feeling.
It is so
What's a
boring
concession?
selling concessions. That's the like popcorn, the food.
Oh, those things.
We call it the concession stand.
Oof.
It is very boring.
It's
to
a
work
concession
there.
to the concept of capitalism.
Yeah. Basically, my favorite, the only good position in a movie theater is cleaning. Cleaning is the best position to be in. You don't interact with people. You just get to sit there, mind your own business, clean your stuff up.
Wait for various movies to empty.
Yeah, you just get to sit there and watch the end of a bunch of movies because you're just waiting for movies to end, and so you get to know how a lot of movies end, so you could like ruin someone's day by spoiling it. It's great.
People
What's
really
the movie
mad
you
about
can
Marvel
tell-
movies because they make everyone the Marvel movies lead to everyone staying after the credits, and they're like, we just want to clean the fucking room, and you're not leaving.
That's why they started doing so. Okay, so before Marvel came into existence and ruined everything, movies just like ended, and you would get up and you would leave the moment you see the credits going because no one wants to read the credits because no one cares about what the work you did. And so
you can check it up on IMDb.
Yeah, and so then Marvel came along and said, you know, it'd be really funny if we tricked people into watching credits.
The longest credits ever, too.
Yeah. By the way, longest credits ever. We tricked them into watching credits, and they can watch a little thing that we filmed at the end of the movie where none of the actors actually give a shit. And people care about that a lot. It got so bad that movies now, if you go to a movie theater, you will know if it has an end credit scene because they'll turn the fucking lights on when it doesn't. They turn the lights on to get you to recognize, get the fuck out of the movie theater. We don't want you here anymore. Leave. Because if they turn the lights on, that can disrupt your ability to watch the movie, which would only happen if there's nothing left to watch.
I was talking about how like we've hit the level where now it's like you sit in that fucking theater for so long that you have like the bars closed moment essentially where you all the credits finally dry up, the last fucking scene airs, and then the lights turn on and you're like, oh, I'm still here. Oh no.
You know what? I did that for The Lord of the Rings Return of the King. I watched it on opening night, and I stood there until the very last credit, and it did like a weird thingamajig at the end.
It's like sitting in a theater for so long that like it gives you the Netflix pop-up of like, are you still here? And you're like, stop asking me. You're making me feel bad about myself.
Movies. Kids these days don't know what movies are.
They only know that Quibi.
It's from the before times.
Yeah, kids
Kids
these days
only know
have to...
Quibi now.
Oh god.
No, what the hell?
I think Quibi already went out of business. You're too late.
Of course it did. It was like 2 weeks after it came out.
Well,
all you kids near Quibs, when I was back in my
YouTube,
day, we had
worse?
to walk up both hills upstate in order to see
That's
one meme. And you've got your Quibbies now.
I would ask my grandmother to bring one meme or two from the summer camp. That my
I'm definitely.
grandmother-
I mean, I definitely will tell children absolute lies about how to access the internet back in the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like definitely gonna lie about that. Like back in the day, in order to get the internet, we used to have to like beat the shit out of the local hog and get him to run fast enough to get the DSL to like
That's
to
not
get the
even
DSL
unbelievable.
to send. It is kind of unbelievable, the idea that everyone in the village goes and beats a hog to get internet.
It's not even unbelievable stuff. Like we had to write a letter to the president, and he would send us a tape, and then we'd put the tape in
that was our
trash
AOL
compactor.
install disk.
Back in the day, in order to access Wikipedia, we had to write a letter to the president and ask him what information happened on a specific day and time, and he'd write us back, "None of your business," and we'd have to just endure that for it.
I like the idea of implying that AOL install disks, like just the reverse psychology of it being like a prestige thing you had to work for, as opposed to a thing you couldn't avoid, and it was like inescapable, and they were always arriving. Like it's like the fucking scene of Harry Potter where all the letters come through all the windows and pouring through every single fucking wall. It's like inescapable, but that was just everyone's actual real life experience with AOL disks in the mail. Just coming at you.
AOL is a very unique, interesting time. Like I'm thinking back now, and I'm remembering that like every fucking coffee shop, every like any place that you could any place you could put a tip jar, there would be a fucking AOL disc spot there. Like I think AOL made more discs than any other product has ever been made on the human planet. I think they're just I don't think you could ever top it. I remember there being discs fucking everywhere. They were like it was absurd. It was absurd because it's a one-time install. Like you just need it once. God.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing though. It's like the back then there's like a thing that I have to explain to kids is like back then they used to sell hours. how much internet you used, like time wise, was like a thing. So like the fucking AOL discs would be like, here's 200 hours of internet to get you hooked, so you pay for the next hundreds of hours of internet, because like how long you were on the fucking internet was like a thing to worry about. It's so frustrating.
I remember something I did. This was back in 56k times, but something I did not for very long because I didn't have a computer, but I did in my cousin's house. Is I would learn how to navigate a website very fast, or as fast as I could, and then I would actually browse it and read it and look into the things in offline mode, so we just show the cached version. So I could just like for 5 minutes it would be on the call, because internet, dial up is literally you're dialing up a number, and that's where the minutes come from. I once printed an
entire game fax.
I did that. I still have a binder full of printed up cheat codes.
Yeah,
I did that for
I printed out an entire game fax for a Dynasty Warriors game that showed that explained in great detail how to unlock every single character. It was like dozens of pages.
Proper. That's a proper move right there. If you haven't done that, you're not a 2000s kid.
I did. I had the opposite, where like I never had issue accessing internet until my parents got home. Because I would just go downstairs and unplug the phone from the wall, so then no one could call the phone And so then you just have free reign, right? Granted, no one could leave you voicemails, but that sounds like somebody else's problem, not mine.
Yeah.
And besides, who would leave voicemails? Salespeople? It's phone.
Yeah, I mean, it was either salespeople or PG&E telling us they're going to shut our power off because it's one of those blackout days or whatever.
Oh crap!
And
did you live in Texas?
What?
Where did you have a lot of blackouts growing up?
No, not a lot, but they're like during major storms or like if it was going to be a bad season or whatever. Sometimes they just call you in courtesy call and say like, just a heads up, we're not going to do our job, so prepare for no electricity. And you're like,
nice.
oh, okay, cool, thanks, guys.
Here in Portugal, they wouldn't tell us at all. They would just shut it down. That's it.
That's about how California Power do. They're just going to be like, yeah, today we're not doing it.
Until SMUD existed, and then PG was like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. You guys do your job? That's not fair. You're making us look bad. I was like, well, can we get SMUD? No. This is a PG&E environment. It's like, okay,
let me
cool.
ask you a question. How many people do you think AOL employs today?
500.
Whoa, that's so many.
Is it? Is that a lot?
Is AOL even an active internet provider?
Yes. Yeah, AOL still makes money.
They're owned by Yahoo, as far as I know.
I thought they just did something else now, as like somehow.
And according to Wikipedia,
they run a tech blog.
According to Wikipedia, they employ 5,600 people.
What? What the fuck are they doing? Wait a second.
They're spending the shareholders'
what the fuck
money.
are you doing?
They're spending the shareholders' money. That's what they're doing. Do you know how these companies work?
Holy shit.
If they're stock, yeah, that's a lot of people. They even have like their own headquarters in New York. It's like all looks pretty and looks like a building you could jump off in Spider-Man.
So many people.
Wait, what is my AOL account?
I haven't even heard of AOL until today for like a decade. Like
their
I
logo
brought it
is
up as a joke. I was like basically a dead. Oh, did they just simplify their logo?
Their logo is just capital A, lowercase o, lowercase l, period. It's like that's it. That's AOL period. It's just like it's sad. That's sad. It's a sad logo. It's like Google being like Google period or something. And when I say period, I mean a dot. It's a little.
The new logo wave, it striketh. It's one of those things where it's like it can be it can like be like mildly annoying from time to time, but at the same time it's just like, boy, it doesn't fucking matter. I could not get over the fact that Bandai Namco's new logo was viral on Twitter. It was like trending, and it's like, who gives a fuck? Who gives this much of a fuck? Is today just a slow day? Was there no one to burn today? Like there was no like sinner to burn down, so everyone's just mad that Bandai Namco.
When was this?
Like it was like this weekend or something, I think.
Really?
Or it's like this week. It just says Bandai Namco, but with a pink rectangle around it. I mean, fucking credit where credit's due. It still says Bandai Namco. It doesn't say like Jamba. They didn't like chop half the words off to be Duncan or Jamba.
That's a weird move. The shapes of the Bandai Namco logo, the old one anyway, they were pretty distinctive.
Instead of being two fidget spinners that are yellow and orange overlapping each other, it's now just a pink rectangle around their name.
Yeah, it looks like a subsection of
where are
a
you seeing
GameSpot
this? I'm not
blog.
seeing this. I just see the two fidget spinners.
Well,
I know. The Wikipedia hasn't been updated.
Search better. I believe in you. I'm sure you can find it.
What is that? What is? Oh my god, that's their new logo. What happened? Wait a second. Who did they fire to get that?
Who did they fire to get that?
The lettering is not even the same. They rounded out the letters, so now they look like Century Gothic or something.
This looks awful. This looks like a fucking
really bad.
television network channel. Am I looking at like Lifetime television? What is this? Why does this look like shit?
The discussion.
Like, no, we don't need to. I know a little bit of design.
I think one of the more popular takeaways was the idea that it looks like a blog logo.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. It looks like a subsection of GameSpot.
Yeah, it's like a tech blog or something that's going to talk about why the fucking cyberpunk boobs aren't booby enough or something.
Oh, no, it's Bravo. That's who I was thinking of. They stole the Bravo logo.
Bravo.
Right? I mean, so there you go. And then...
Nah, I don't know what Bravo is. Oh, you're posting...
It's a television channel. This is a television channel in the United States.
But, nah, it's very different. It's very different.
Nah, it's pretty much the same. Just it's a text bubble. It's a speech bubble with our name in it. All right,
speech
cool.
bubbles
really original, guys.
don't constitute a logo.
I mean, they don't. That's just someone saying your company. I don't know. That just looks. I just feel bad.
It doesn't.
I feel bad that someone probably offered that design as a joke and they went with it. They're like, oh no, that's not the one I wanted you to go with. No, guys.
You can bet whatever you like that any logo for any big company is one out of hundreds and hundreds of like just random things that designers throw and then get chosen through. What's that thing where they get a bunch of people to talk about the thing? Focus groups. That's the one. And then goes the committee and just like, that one over there is the new logo. That's the one I spent 5 minutes on that day that I was feeling bad. Doesn't matter.
My depression logo is now my legacy. Oh no!
Like the logo of my
the company. That's the guy who designed Lugia for Pokemon.
I want to leave I want to climb this company and I want to leave my mark on it. And really change it, and then like monkey paw curls, and it's like you're the guy that makes the pink logo. That's all you ever accomplished at this company.
The logo of the company that I quit this week was done like that in 2 minutes. My boss was trying to come up with a logo himself, and he just kept thinking of like, interpretative logos where he came up with a meaning behind the logo and things. And I'm like, you're just wasting, like, why are you trying to come up with a logo that means something? Just shapes is what you want, something that is different, and the people know the name and that's it, because we're a small company, it doesn't matter. And then I just literally drew a rounded square, tilted a little, lowercase initial of the company, and that's it. That's the logo right there. And I was just showing it as an example. He said, that's the one. And for 10 years, it's been the company's logo. Something I was just shouting at him for being thick.
Meanwhile, our logo has big, like, 1998, like, a lot of effort to look low effort energy. Whereas like people would have their hair look all carefully muscled up, where it's like I just woke up this way, but it's like I spent 3 hours in the mirror. And it's like that, like our logo looks like something that was made in 2 seconds for this podcast, but it was like I spent like a whole morning on it.
I like our logo.
It's a style.
And there was a back and forth as well, and we chose things.
Became a big fan of the fucking chalk. What do you call it? The chalk brush and GIMP.
it's easy for kids to write on their pavement and trick other people into watching.
That we're gonna low gang this shit. We're gonna try we're gonna exploit our audience for viral marketing purposes.
Perfect. Do you hear that, audience? You're all kids
and ruin their just terrorize their teachers by writing fucking low gang or some shit in permanent marker on their fucking whiteboards. Get expelled.
Kids shouldn't be listening to our podcast.
I would like that very much. I want everyone to do that. Whatever it is that he does, do it, but better. Whatever it is.
It's a real dire situation, being everything you can do, I can do better with fucking Logan Paul.
I will. That will be my entire new YouTube persona. Well, I will one up Logan Paul.
Andrew's going out by filming a mass grave.
I'm going to build a mansion on top of his mansion just to one up him. Like, he can't stop me.
Literally,
what is he gonna do?
One mansion up.
Exactly. And then my YouTube content is gonna be me just throwing shit down at his mansion. It's just gonna be like, hey guys, today we're gonna throw stuff at the low gang and just throw like watermelons down. He's like, stop it, James, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, and it's just a prank, bro, and just make Matt my thumbnail or something.
That would be, you know what, that you would have a lot of success on YouTube.
That would quickly become a symbiotic relationship where you're just both helping each other.
But I'm always ahead of him. That's the
you'd
thing.
Quickly not be a problem for him because you would just be more content.
Except for the fact that whenever he's doing content, like he's trying to do like content or something, I would just show up, like bust through his wall or something, like the fucking Kool-Aid man with air horn sirens, like, bah, 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 bah. No, you need to subscribe to me. Bah, 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 bah. It's just like, there's nothing he could ever do. It's just, every time he says something, I'm there and I immediately one up him with something else. He could say like, man, I just want to fight. It's like, I just want to fight with a nation. And he's like, I don't think that's even possible, but like, all right. And he's just everything is
you
always
just find the smallest nation. Isle of Man, I'm coming for you.
Do you guys know what the smallest nation is?
Punch it out.
But
you guys know what the smallest station is?
Smallest nation? It's probably some
so.
Island I've never heard of.
I think I know.
Vatican's pretty small.
Smallest country. It's probably. So which one did you say, Keith?
The Vatican's pretty small. Isle of Man seems pretty small. There was wasn't there like a dude in like Ohio or some shit that's like, oh wow, technically I'm not the American. I'm just one house.
I like the idea that
I've carved a little square out of the country.
I like the idea the Vatican's a nation. Like, how hard is it to fight the Vatican? Just one old dude in his pajamas. You could just show up and beat that up really easy.
Aren't a lot of Native American reservations technically nations?
That's true, but I had to correct myself and say country rather than nation. But you're right, Keith. Vatican City is the smallest nation. I thought it was San Marino, but San Marino is a huge 24 square miles instead of 0.27 square miles, which is what Vatican City has.
Jesus Christ!
It's literally just it's
kind
just
of kind of brave to call it a city.
Okay, so I guess I wouldn't be lying. I could definitely beat up a nation.
You could beat up the Pope. He's
I could totally beat up the Pope.
He's already being carried around in like a weird coffin car. Like it's probably just like mobile life support, I assume.
I mean, it would be easy. You just got to pretend and be the driver and just do like Hitman style and then just drive the car into like a volcano or something.
Well, there's a volcano next door. It's Italy.
You're right. You can't. It's really easy.
This was made to be. Yeah, if you saw this in an immersive sim, you would just assume it was the intended route.
That's the canonic ending.
The Pope isn't doing himself any favors. You might want to move the Vatican somewhere a little less volcano-y.
You see the chandelier over your opponent in Hitman. You're like, well, that's just too easy. I don't want to just do what the level designer tells me to do.
Volcano it is. But speaking of Vatican City, they I think last week they approved or they decriminalized abortion
volcanoes
up to 17 weeks. So officially more progressive than
Texas,
Alabama or Texas. That's the one.
I mean, that's not
also
new.
Alabama. That's fair as well.
Americans' weird cult version of Christianity has always been less progressive than the actual.
Yeah, it's always been Calvinistic rather than
their religion.
Yeah.
Granted, some of them for some of their categories that they don't care about the Vatican. Probably because the Vatican's too woke for them. It got ruined by the swidges.
Oh my god!
Too woke.
Wait, so the Pope has already been beaten?
I'm so tired. I woke up this morning and the first thing I saw was people complaining about My Little Pony's new generation being too woke, and I'm like, I can't do this again. I'm so tired.
The show with the tagline "Friendship is magic" is.
Why do you guys have to have thoughts every day?
The one where about you accept everybody's differences and whatnot, like it's right. I've never watched My Little Pony, so I can't really speak.
But you know what?
Well, half their audience is 4chaners, so it was inevitable.
Maybe that's the reason.
Not anymore. That's the old.
The moment they see a new thing, they'd be like, "Oh fuck, this isn't my ideology because I'm a warped, sad person."
I don't want to fuck this pony. I want to fuck the other ponies. The ones that are less SJW. The ones that talk about friendship and love. Those ones are far less.
Yeah, Rapidash.
Rapidash is red, Dumby.
I have no idea. Better dead than red, isn't that what they say?
I just love. At this point, it's a joke, obviously, but I just love that for so long, I just unironically thought Rapidash was My Little Pony. Because it sounds so much like one of the actual ones, but it's a Pokemon.
I mean,
I just mixed them up one day.
Oh, it is a Pokemon.
Yeah, it's a Rainbow Dash.
It could be if you want it to be.
But I just unironically was just saying the wrong one, and it was really funny.
It's not sexy enough to be in My Little Pony.
Rainbow Dash is just a shiny Rapidash. Changed my mind.
Rainbow.
He's done it, buds. He's figured it out. We cannot beat him. He is too strong.
What's your favorite?
Oh, Rainbow Dash is the famous one.
What is your favorite My Little Pony? Is it Rainbow Dash or Pony You Can't Name or Pony You Can't Name?
What, Applejack?
Applejack.
He named it. It's coming. Say it 3 times in a mirror.
I'm having to look all these up.
Arrives.
Applejack isn't famous.
You just hear clopping outside your door.
Rainbow Dash is the famous one, right? That's like the main character.
Is there a famous one? I guess they're all famous or not. Is there a main pony? Which one's the leader? Which one's the Red Ranger?
Well, the Red Ranger is the leader. Oh. Let's see. My Little Pony.
I almost said Digimon of Power Rangers.
Yeah, it shows up in the middle. That's definitely true.
I don't know what that means. It shows up in the middle. Like the group?
Like the ensemble banner image.
On top of them all and whatnot. I don't know. There's an I don't. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Why am I in
I'll
this
believe
podcast?
you. I just
Goodbye.
don't.
I'm leaving. I'll see you all later.
The secret is that none of us know what we talk about.
Yeah, I don't know nothing.
That's why we're not
ponies.
answering the question that we received. Because it's scary. Because somebody was like, what is it? Somebody asked,
I don't even know what the question
here's
is.
something I was thinking about that I'd love for you guys to tackle. Is colonialism the cause of capitalism, or are they connected? Can you have one without the other? Just want to see where this conversation goes. Fizz Dragon. Here's where the conversation goes. You just look up on YouTube. You look up Conquest of Dread, and you ask him. He knows a lot more about colonialism, so go ahead. And
no, you went for the question.
Go ahead and just ask him about that, and maybe show up to one of his Dark Souls streams or whatever, where he hangs out and talks about stuff, and maybe he'll answer your question.
And colonialism
I
in
don't
Dark Souls?
fucking know. I'm not a person to ask about colonialism.
Well,
I would probably say that where.
Yes. I mean, what is the value in colonialism except for getting products to sell, right? You're there for natural resources, and natural resources are only good for selling.
I mean, it's motivated by capitalism in the same way that it's like the 4X thing, basically. If we talk about
who the fuck's paying for these boats?
We talk about it all in video game terms. Like, you're either doing it because you're a religious cult that is obsessed with the idea of spreading your religion everywhere, because our religion doesn't have borders, it's all God's kingdom. So better subject everybody, or it's about just resources and subjugation and being like, it's hard to exploit it. It's getting progressively harder to exploit the people in our country because they want rights and dignity. So what if we just go over there and attack some brown people and take their resources and labor? And no, even the people in our country that are uncomfortable with it will be barely aware of it. So it's pretty easy to get away with.
Yeah, if you don't
and
talk about
colonialism, I guess.
And that's why capitalism works in a sort of different way, or slightly different way to that, which is instead of invading somebody and making them your colony, you send your factories there, and then your iPhones are made in China.
And then you just make a bunch of media that makes fun of them, or infantilizes them, or co-ops the imagery of their culture, but wrong.
So to answer your question, you need capitalism to do colonialism. You can do one without the other, but it wouldn't be very profitable.
I'm pretty sure you can colonialism with feudalism, so no.
Yeah, you can that as well.
Well, I just said
one of
them
it
is a different sort of colonialism, though.
Because
it is a different sort of colonialism.
Despite how much people can't imagine not having capitalism, it's relatively young.
Relatively young.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in other systems for a lot longer.
I think the most compelling argument in defense of capitalism, well, not the most compelling argument, but I think a very persuasive argument in defense of capitalism. Yeah, it's exactly look at all the things that we did before capitalism. They were terrible and bad, and but also
I don't think that's that's
not a good argument on the face of it.
That's just a sign that capitalism is also bad because it's something that we designed, and we have never made anything good. So by that logic, everything that we make, no matter what, will always be bad.
Nah, I don't think that's true.
I don't think feudalism worked too well, but we sure as hell created that. And
the thing is, I think there's a little bit of truth towards there's a little bit of truth when people say that the arc of the universe tends toward justice and all that sort of stuff. There's a little bit of that. That is true. Maybe all of it, but I guess it's up to anybody to make their own mind about that. But I think the argument that what came before is worse, or was worse, is just I think is intrinsically related to
it's this weird dumb argument that and we're done now. We're done with progress forever.
If you look up the end of history, I think
things were worse before, which means we're done changing now forever.
Yeah.
Because the only directions are back to previous things, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Capitalism has set itself up as basically the end result of human history, not in that we are not going to have more history, but rather that everything that comes after is going to be seen through the lens of our current day.
A lot of our societal ideology is shaped around the idea that we're done, basically. Mm-hmm. Just like how we're like, oh yeah, racism's over. We solved it like 50 years ago. No more Obama changes. Stop questioning it. You're the real racist if you look at if you keep bringing up racial inequality. You're the one that's always talking about race. Checkmate.
Yep. And it's just, I think like the problem is that I feel like because we grow up being indoctrinated by this stuff, it's so easy to make it this applies to so many things that we talk about, but it's so easy to make these sort of arguments and these sort of attitudes part of our identity growing up. And then when we start thinking about it, there's a strong revulsion, like an innate sort of repulsion of us just being like, oh no, wait, that means that I've been wrong all along. No. Capitalism is much better than feudalism. What are these communists all about? Shut up. And just like, because we just grow up ingrained with this sort of ideas that, we're there. This is the system, and we can make.
Oh, I mean, you kind of need to be taught. That's the whole point of school, is that it teaches you other systems.
Not just school.
The whole point of school is because fucking industrial companies didn't want to actually put the money in to train their workers, so they got the government to do it.
Mm-hmm. That too.
And boy, did that not work out well.
In a way it did. It's just not necessarily...
Did it? Because then we like banned hiring people like children. And then that kind of put a whole wrench in the system there.
Well, like, you live in a country that... How many millions of people have... what's the name for education debt? Like, student people going to debt to go to university. Yeah, student debt, that's the one. Millions and millions of people in the US going to student debt. It started off as factories and
our college is like a money scheme, like a grift.
Yeah, that's like it's the opposite. It's like you went to the opposite side of the spectrum. It started off as companies having to pay for your education, and then it was the government, and now it's you.
Because there's the endless arms race of what you need to actually do to make it in society, and there's always more steps. It's a rail that's being placed ahead of you as you're driving on the train, and you never reach the destination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everybody benefits from you having more that you have to do first.
I don't know. There's whatever.
The problem is that we're also powerless by ourselves. Whatever conclusion we come up with, whatever realization we come up with when we are thinking about it, whatever opinions we have or we feel right or wrong, alone we can't do anything. And together, we can only do something if we understand that it's the systems that need to be fought rather than this one company or that one person or whatever. It's never about just the people doing the bad things. It's not about the Koch brothers being absolute criminals and scum of the earth. It's about the system that made them super rich and have immense amounts of power to be the scum of the earth and be super evil. And I'm talking about the Koch brothers because they're well, one of them is dead already, the Koch. But the other one is still terrible. I mean, the dead one is also terrible, but...
Grimes reading the Communist Manifesto.
Grimes doesn't know how to do satire.
Oh no, that was a Schrodinger's douchebag moment. Absolutely, that was Grimes.
Schrodinger's douchebag.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely Grimes wanting to have this like PR moment, and then when it didn't work out the way she wanted it to, being like, "Haha, I was just kidding. That was a joke, and you guys all fell for it." Ha. Yeah, it's just a trick people do all the time. It's fucking annoying.
What?
Did you see the pictures, Andrew?
I don't know.
No, yeah, over on Twitter today, as of the time of recording, obviously, or today and yesterday, I think. Grimes.
She's dressed as like a weird leather alien, and she's reading the I almost said the Dominatrix because it flowed. She's reading the Communist Manifesto, walking around and getting paparazzi photos and just posing everywhere with it.
She's just that's not satire though. But it's like, I assume that's her intent.
Is?
Because nobody, like, the Communist Manifesto is old. Don't read all this stuff.
She wanted to win back her audience after that liked her for different things after splitting with Elon Musk, and then when it read as
wait, she split with Elon Musk?
Yeah.
That's right.
And then because it read as incredibly tone deaf and embarrassing and cringe, then it was like, haha, what a joke! I did it as a joke, and everyone fell for it. Ha, it's me.
I don't know. The pictures I see is that she's reading other stuff.
Oh, Photoshop.
Yeah,
Photoshop.
It is a meme now.
Like, yeah.
Just replace it with anything else.
The memes are satire.
She should be the only true answer to that meme is to make it Animorphs.
Animorphs.
Make an Animorphs?
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
Here he goes. Wait, you found it already? Did you find it immediately?
Oh, you found it.
Yeah.
Someone's on my level. Everyone else failed. Get better.
I mean,
be that guy.
I don't even know what Animorphs are.
You want the next best Communist Manifesto?
The conquest of bread or something?
Industrial society
Animorphs.
and its future.
Animorphs is the Joe Rogan turning into a horse.
The Unabomber story.
I'm sorry, what did you say, girl?
It's the Joe Rogan turning into a horse. That's what that is.
What the fuck?
No, that's
Did you never see that?
It's a man turning into a lizard.
Yeah, but I didn't know what it was. I kept seeing memes of when Joe Rogan was, stripping his gut lining with medicine it's for horses and doesn't work. I kept seeing memes of him turning into a horse.
I think Joe Rogan's wealthy enough to, when he does his crackpot bullshit, to not actually take the horse version.
He's
I'm
also
really
dumb
trying
as
to
shit.
find where the fuck is
I
this?
don't think he took the horse version. I'm pretty sure he took the human one.
That's fair.
Oh, okay, there it is. All right.
But still, that's where it came from, and that's why
It took a lot of time
just
to find the legitimate picture. Like, there are so many fucking memes. Like, I couldn't even find. I was like, what is the actual book she's holding? And it's like, okay, there we go.
The internet moves fast.
Yeah.
That's what I just woke up to today, was just that. And then
This
discourse.
This is a very supernatural pose to be reading any kind of book in.
Oh yeah, no, it's like every photo
I definitely
reads. It's just so fucking awkward.
I definitely just sit at a curb and read a book. Yeah, in like some kind of weird dystopian.
She looks like she's from Riven.
Yeah. Right? I thought that as well.
Like it's absolute. Yep. It looks like some kind of like Denis ass thing. Like she's wearing goggles. Choices were made.
Wearing goggles.
Choices
she does have that face,
were made. I don't know.
Everybody knows that leftists don't read. They just quote the books at each other. I mean, quotes the titles because they didn't read the book.
They just quote things that they heard other people quote already.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is just a troll? She's not actually...
Yeah, this is just a troll. And also, she's not... Is she lefty? I have no idea.
Full disclosure,
isn't.
I'm still living with Elon, and I am not a communist.
There we go. She claims.
Oh, no. Oh, you're reading the thing. Go ahead. Keep going.
Although there are some very smart ideas in this book, but personally, I'm more interested in a radical decentralized UBI that I think could potentially be achieved through crypto and game... And I'm gonna have a gamer moment, but I haven't ironed that idea out enough yet to explain it.
That was my too much. That was my. It's been 5 minutes, but it's already too much Twitter moment this morning. It was when I hit that fucking message where we're gonna get universal basic income from some combination of crypto and gaming.
Regardless, my opinions on politics are difficult to describe because the political system that inspire me the most have not yet been implemented.
I'm sure she'll really iron that one out. Wait, she just needs a little more time to cook it, and then she'll have a really compelling point to make.
Wait, Grimes, did you just go on 4chan for the first time? Is this your first time interacting with like channers? Why would you say this? This is like embarrassing.
She just said that the political systems that inspired her the most haven't happened.
Yes.
They haven't been implemented yet. She's
Okay.
abandoned
She's
by
from the
like
future.
like she's entirely inspired by Star Trek: The Next
Star Trek.
Generation.
Yeah.
I like the idea
Replicators,
that,
sign me up.
Transporters, yes.
A radically decentralized universal basic income, but it has to be achieved through crypto,
That's like-
which has to be which crypto can't be gained except somebody having electricity generated, which it has to only be done through somebody having a regular non-decentralized universal basic income job.
Also,
at the power
but
plant.
you're missing the more obvious one, I think. Like, I'm sorry to get into
gaming?
the weeds here.
What do you mean gaming?
No,
what
no.
the fuck does that? What does gaming have to do with
look at the
crypto
amount
at all?
Look at the amount of emphasis she
it's
puts
just word
on
soup.
the
Wait,
yeah,
did she
it
make
is, it
Ready
is.
Player One and go like, wait, this is a good idea.
is.
Everyone just
Oh,
lived
no.
in like
Look at it.
Ready Player One is such a shitty video game.
Yeah,
not
but
enough,
is
not
this what
enough
she's
time
talking
is spent
about?
discussing how the video game in Ready Player One is just a really horrible video game. It's like
Is this
every
not just
single
what she's
possible
talking about?
layered microtransaction and predatory practice you could possibly have, and you can't escape it because it's basically real life.
But we're not gonna lie and think that like in Ready Player One, the currency in that game is probably not just it probably is just crypto. It probably is just cryptocurrency. And like, so that's the life she's talking about. She wants Ready Player One, where everyone lives in a fucking trailer stacked on top of each other and they die constantly.
I mean, if you think about it, Ready Player One is just a marketplace for actual NFTs.
Yeah, fair. But look, but the thing is, you said that it's a word soup. You said that it's a word soup. A radically decentralized UBI. UBI stands for Universal Basic Income. I think she also said
Hank
that.
Green's book was a better Ready
UBI
Player One.
UBI is always centralized because
that's
otherwise
what I mean. Yeah, you can't.
Otherwise, just people giving each other money that you can't. That's not UBI.
Yeah,
if it's
decentralized
decentralized.
UBI. It's just
That's
words.
word soup. She's just saying word soup.
Well, that's what I was asking if she just like woke up and went on 4chan for the first time, because this sounds like something. This sounds like a copy pasta you'd see in Poll.
Yeah,
it sounds like some kind
troll.
of like, you know, some guy trying to troll somebody and be like, this is politics.
It's big.
in
Like, I just
2020.
started calling myself a libertarian a week ago and haven't really thought through any of the words mean.
Although there are
combination
some
with
very
any
smart
other
ideas
words.
in this book. Don't tell your husband that. His family made an entire living on people not thinking those are smart ideas. Like, good God, you cannot exploit people under communism like that.
I can't wait for when Elon
work.
gets Grimes back by rebranding as a fucking as a Marxist. But it's
As a
like
crypto
but it's like in
Marxist?
this embarrassing like
Crypto
Bill
Marxist.
Gates sort of way where they're just like ruining the world, but with the facade of fixing things.
Nah, I
Which
don't
already is
think,
what
I
he
don't
does,
think Elon
kind
Musk.
of.
Bill Gates can do that. He has the social capital to do that. I don't think Elon Musk can do that.
Elon Musk already
It's always
does
gonna
that. People already believe that he's like saving us, and he's like
doesn't do anything, like-
he's only ruining the world. He brings like nothing.
All of his enterprise, like the most successful enterprise in terms of actual.
All he did was buy
Industry.
things that already existed and make them worse. He's like Trump.
And like the moment car companies in the US decide to actually make electric cars, and they're just waiting for government mandates, by the way, the moment car companies in the US decide to do that, Tesla just falls because they're completely propped up by the money all the other car companies pay them to not have to make electric cars, because that's how Tesla works. Like every company in the US has to make a certain amount of electric cars, unless they just pay other companies to do it.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're just trying to pre-establish the infrastructure of charging stations everywhere so that everyone else has to use them. And then they just pivot into charging people for those instead of making the cars.
You know what? That would be a nice thing to do, because I think what you guys have at the moment is terrible. Like you have a certain car, you need to go to your car's charger. That's designed to make you not want to have an electric car.
They want to be the
Amazon.
the Amazon of car chargers, probably. Where it's like they don't like make anything anymore,
Yeah,
really,
see.
but they're the only thing that the whole platform can run on. It's like, oh, you want to sell stuff online? Well, you got like two options, and none of them are making it yourself, or like having a marketplace yourself. You have to just use the existing ones.
She has an update.
Oh, great. Is it about how we're gonna like get our universal basic income by redeeming Mountain Dew promo codes?
No, she basically just like hopped and skips away from that entire funny comment and just says, taught myself to stop checking if other people think I'm socially acceptable a long time ago. Worrying about being cringe is the enemy of art. Failure tolerance is essential for creativity. Deciding not to be mad at people.
Schrödingered, and now she's decided that it's earnest and she's anti-cringe actually.
And she learned the lesson a long time ago, even though she learned it today by the time she wrote the tweet.
But guys, deciding not to be mad at people enjoying life is okay.
Enjoying life.
I'm not hating on Grimes though. I have no idea who she is.
I don't care if you're having a good life.
Soup.
That's not what
she just mashes phrases together, and the context doesn't matter.
What bothers me is not about the life that you're having. What matters to me is the actions in your life, and the actions are not good. I don't care if you're happy. I care about if your actions have consequences to other people. And why
would you? No, that doesn't make sense.
Why are you thinking about the message that I sent to you?
I don't care if you're happy. Wait, who said that? Was that her?
Yes.
If you don't care if somebody is happy,
no, I said I don't care if she's happy.
Right.
That's not my business. I don't give a shit.
You're talking to her as a
like
of power.
Deciding not to be mad at people enjoying life. Like I'm not mad at you enjoying life. I'm mad at you because you're like
I thought she was talking to everybody else
asshole on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, cringe is one thing. I guess you could call this cringe. I think this is more pathetic and pitiable. Like, I feel so bad for you that you like walked outside looking like this, holding that, and taking none of the lessons in. Like, nothing about this situation resonated with you enough to go like, actually, wait a second, maybe something is wrong with this entire system that I'm a part of. But instead, you're like, nah, people just think I'm cringe.
She's never.
And it's like,
do you think she's ever gonna say that something is wrong? When she, I don't look at the amount of money that she has. If I had that amount of money, I would be like, oh no, the money's nice. I don't see any reason to say that it isn't. There's no incentive. Like, everybody else needs to bring her to the light in a way, because if you won, you're never gonna say that the race is rigged.
I get it. I guess in a sense, you're trying to just like bait headlines, which is fine. I also agree that one, giving a shit about what the hell she's doing with her life is inconsequential. I don't care if she's dressed like.
But that's just famous people, you know.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I don't care if you want to like have a good laugh at whatever paparazzi.
A lot of that just stinks. Like, how dare you have reactions to thing I put out for reactions?
That's a good. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
I'm just not sure what it is that she wants half the time, and I think a lot of it is always just attention, but none of it is the attention she gets. So she's like upset that the attention she gets isn't the right attention. So it's like man, I really wish people would think I'm quirky and funny, and people are like, wow, you fucking disgusting cringe human being, could you just like yeet into a volcano? And she's like, wow, it's not okay to be mad at people enjoying life. It's like, that's not.
It's like you were performing. Your most recent excuse for all of this was that you were literally putting on a performance for us.
So not enjoying life.
And then we were like, we don't like it. And then you're like, how could you? Great. Yeah. Great discourse. Love
it. Cringe is holding back art is the enemy of art, which is like, I want that on a shirt so I could cringe at people wearing it. Like, that's great. That is a great comment, or a great quote. I hope that quote is on your memoir. Like, that should be first. I want it like the Grimes story. Cringe is the enemy of art. Perfect. I want that right there.
Tell me something.
Yes.
Do you what does cringe mean besides the meaning that you were just giving it? There's a motion that you do for cringe, right?
Cringe is an action. You cringe. You physically cringe. Your body goes, like it tenses up and makes you recoil in disgust and embarrassment at the same time, and like a kind of like when you want to like fart and burp at the same time, and your body doesn't know what it's supposed to do.
Every second of watching a Mega 64 video.
Yeah, or basically it's cringe is what it feels like if you go to like a middle school and you try to like watch them be cool and you go like, oh no, this is what you think being cool is? And you like die and you just topple over. Like that's cringe.
Or
but it's fine because
yeah.
people gotta cringe to learn to not. But this is a person that's an adult with a lot of money and a child. Like, I don't know, somebody teacher. Can you buy a teacher? How much do teachers cost? They can't cost that much. The government owns them.
What strikes me the most is that how un-rock and roll her attitude is, because she's a musician, right?
Well, she's not a rock and roll musician.
No, yeah, but in the sense of like being rebellious or being.
She is not a rebellious musician. She is a very like standard flair, straight as arrow pop artist. She doesn't toe any line. Yeah. She doesn't make any waves. She is just another face in an otherwise unmemorable sea of a genre of music that is so wide that I honestly think everything is pop now. But like, it's not. Yeah, this isn't like she's showing up.
I mean, once you're the musician that married Elon Musk, you've got like, there's just nothing. There's nothing to stand for. There's no like meaning to have anymore. Like that's it. That's the end. Like you're never gonna be interesting again. Like what the fuck is the point of any of it?
You lose a lot of whatever kind of message you want to say about you. You lose any kind of row row fight the power message the moment you marry the power. Like
so much of the music industry is like so much of it's supposed to be like anti-establishment and counterculture and so on. Like that's your fucking like you're just gonna make like even a lot of country music was specifically counterculture until like there was a lot of the post 9/11 bootlicking shit going on. Like that's what it's for.
Yeah, music is such a.
Then you marry Elon Musk, and it's like, well, what the fuck do you sing about now? The fuck is? What's the point of any of this?
That's the problem with pop in general is that even though maybe like you never really have access to modern day pop anyway. You never really have access to the artists themselves directly or to what they think because because the money is so big or it's so important, such a big part of all of your production. Like it's all tested. It's all.
It's why the entire industry is so disappointing, is because that's just like it's just manufactured shit that means nothing and goes nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how BTS is like it's like basically an arm of their government at this point. They're sent on like diplomatic missions to meet Trump and shit.
The Korean dudes that right.
Here come the stands.
I'm sure.
They've come.
I'm sure there's especially solo artists. I'm sure there's solo artists or smaller. I don't know, smaller bands that have a better grasp on their content. Maybe, I don't know. I like to think that, but maybe not. The moment you're making more than $1 million per album, I'm pretty sure
you can still have messaging and stuff. It's just the pop industry is so not anybody's voice in most cases that it doesn't go anywhere. It's like the person on the stage is almost never actually even making any of the music, so it's just noise.
If your message is less than what bands like Guns N' Roses or I'm thinking Guns N' Roses with Civil War, for example, or
like trying to think Rage Against the Machine didn't stop meaning anything just because they started making $1 million somewhere.
Yeah, but I'm not like Rage Against the Machine. I think is a high bar for the message kind of thing. I'm not, like, I'm not gonna be like, if you're not saying things like Rage Against, you're not doing anything. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like even bland bands that were kind of subdued with their messaging did more than a lot of the messaging of these days. That pretend to be messaging, especially.
I don't know. I feel like that's a lot of like kids these days kind of talk. I think there are bands that do make messages, but I think there's
pop.
There's a growing increase in like commercial ability.
I'm not talking about time or eras. I'm just talking about pop. Like the machine that creates pop music destroys any forms of messaging.
Well, it has because it's not family. That's not like family radio friendly. You need to make it.
It's like only a few steps removed from being like Spider-Man Elsa shit. Like it's just practically machine generated at some point.
Yeah. But I think because it came, the pop music came from a completely different place 20 or 30 years ago than it does now. Because pop music specifically, was still finding itself. So new artists on the block, things like, what's that one? Audio Wave? No, not Audio Wave.
Audio Slave?
Soundgarden? Audio Slave, yeah, but that's the guy. That's the same guitar player. Soundgarden, for example, they weren't. Soundgarden. There's a few other bands like Nirvana, I think.
Wasn't Audio
that
Slave
started out
Radiohead with the Soundgarden singer or something?
Those bands. Yeah, there's a few, like 4 or 5 bands that started off all at the same time and defined an entire generation of pop music. Or
I think Audio Slave is like a super group between 2 different bands.
Yeah,
like
I think so.
Like
it's later. It started
like
off
leftovers.
in 98. Yeah. But those bands, they didn't start out to be pop. They started out to be popular, but it was sort of the common sort of people liking the same style of music or liking the same bands that sort of brought them to the fore. And of course, MTV had a huge role in making a lot of those bands, and of course, making an entire generation of or music listeners. But these days, it's the other way around. It's like we know what people like to listen to, and instead of like people or let MTV in a way tell us what people want to listen to, it's just like it inverted that sort of process. Which, I mean, I'm not dissing necessarily on the artistry. It's still art to make music by committee. Like if you're a musician that is making music, then you know what people like and you make that music. You're still an artist. I'm not dissing the artist in the sense of like it's not art or it's not music. I'm saying like the message specifically is a problem because the message isn't art. It's a message, and it's kind of a conflict of interest in many ways. If you're a more politically if you're a more message focused band, you're going to have a harder time being an artist because you're going to be limited by the amount of things you can say.
You're limited by ethics and caring about what you're doing to the world.
Yeah.
As opposed to just kind of manufacturing noise.
Just do the best of both worlds.
Designed by committee music is like the equivalent of like when you have a bunch of YouTubers in a YouTuber house, they're like workshopping like what their next viral video is going to be. And they only care about the virality and like what will and won't work, and not like what the video says or what it does in the world or anything.
But the skill required to make that video is still skill. It's still, that's what I'm saying. I'm not dissing on the artists as the art. I'm dissing on the message.
Yeah,
which should be important.
Competency was never the topic.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying because, especially with musicians, it gets conflated so much. If I say, oh, this musician doesn't say anything, it doesn't mean that they're a sellout or they don't have talent. That's not like it, because I'm just sort of preempting or preemptively defending against a counter argument towards what I was saying, because I hear it so often, and I'm just, I think it as well sometimes, that I just felt like making the distinction because it's important, I feel. And again, because I don't listen to Grimes, I don't know what their songs are about, and this is not a personal like my.
You were forced to listen to some of it because she's in the soundtrack of Cyberpunk.
Joke's on you! I turned off the music.
Oh right, yeah.
No, I didn't actually.
Right, there was like a toggle to turn off the licensed music at the beginning, so neither of us actually heard any of the Grimes music. But she was in Cyberpunk.
Oh, I know.
She was. Yeah,
don't worry, I know she is. She's one of the fucking worst characters.
She was terrible.
God, I got so mad because I was like, stop fucking talking. You could not hear her. If you did not have subtitles, you would not fucking understand her.
Was she also one of those storylines that basically just dead ends without really going anywhere?
Yes. Yeah. She was just like a stupid fucking singer bot that doesn't have any actual fucking relevance to the plot or story or anything. She's just a fucking cameo. And it's like the whole time she's like,
was she the gold-faced lady?
Yes.
Yeah.
You do an amazing Grimes.
Literally, all she does is she just like blends all of her words into one giant fucking mess of a word, and I cannot understand a single fucking thing she's saying, and I'm supposed to be getting relevant information from this person. I'm like, please just fucking stop. Just
add voice acting is the cyberpunk future.
Just emphasize your vowels, you fucking idiot. Please just emphasize them. Just stop lisping into other words that you're lisping into. It's nightmarish. Like, god damn, there are literal people who spend their entire fucking lives being voice actors, and you just fucking bumble in here like a fucking bull in a tea shop.
Is Mario.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it was seriously fucking ridiculous.
That's
like,
this week too, isn't it?
Wait, that is this week.
But like,
it's
seriously,
such a long week.
It is so ridiculous to try to like you play Cyberpunk, which is just an abject trash heap of a pile. And you're sitting there, you're like, wow, what a fucking nightmare. And then you get to that mission and you're like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is this? What is this game? And then you're like, wow, that was just an awful cutscene. I never want to experience this again. Then you go outside and fucking Cyberpunk's there crashing all over the place. You're like, fucking hell, what is this? What am I playing? I paid $60 for this? Like,
there was such a reliable thing with Cyberpunk where whenever I got actually invested in a quest and I'm like, oh shit, what's going to happen here? That was always the final conversation of the entire quest chain. It was always like, and it's over. And you're like, oh wait, no, wait, we're not in the middle of the story where it's ending. What?
There was that one time where it didn't happen like that, which was like, that guy that wanted to crucify himself. That quest was fleshed out.
I love when he refused to crucify him, so the other some random intern just fucking dispassionately just crucifies him, and apparently I think he just dies. And like the intern is he's unreacting. There's a whole quest chain to have about that intern and what the fuck happened with his life that he's like that, because he's terrifying.
But I think what struck me the most, and you mentioned it in your Let's Play, is that particular quest could say so many things and it says nothing.
Yeah, no, it's just a universal thing with Cyberpunk. That game had nothing to say. It was completely incoherent. It just rolled in the aesthetics and would gesture at ideas that Cyberpunk likes to toy with, but then just like,
right? Yeah,
it just wanted the participation trophy at that point. Like it just looked at you expectantly, like, did I do it? Did I do it? It's like, no, you didn't. You didn't do it. You didn't get why anyone ever wrote stuff in this genre at all. What a waste of fucking time.
Outstanding.
That fucking surveillance quest where it's like, are they replaced? What's going on here? What's with this married couple? Should I tell them what's going to happen to me and them and so on? And then it's like, right when it gets interesting, it just stops, and you're like, that's it, that's the end. And then the story doesn't even get resolved. It's just like, yeah, it's fucked up. That's a fucked up. They have to live with those questions, I guess. It's like, what the fuck?
They don't even bring it up properly. It's like the characters are written for a different quest.
I'm having all this fun, like questioning, like whether one or both of them might be like a fucking Cylon or something. And then it's like, it's over. Bye.
And to think like they had the model for making Cyberpunk a good game, because Deus Ex exists.
They had the model, which was every Cyberpunk property. That's the
also
premise.
That I'm just saying, like in making a game, like Deus Ex is such a good little RPG in the sense that it's small. And a lot of the time you spend playing it is actually shooting, so it works. You just double it up and you make a Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah,
but because it's
you can find old Patreon Q&As from like when it was relatively new information that anything was happening here, where I was like, Cyberpunk's probably gonna kind of suck because they
didn't have any idea what they were doing.
Their whole cachet of their audience is like, we made The Witcher. It's like, well, they can't make a Witcher style game. That would just be a big like gray slop of map, like it's just,
they did it though.
Like The Witcher was just like a fucking World of Warcraft map that was well realized with all of its story and shit, but like it's just, you just run around to some nodes and do the next plot point, and then you're pretty much just farming cutscenes and enjoying those, and like doing that for a fucking like a Cyberpunk game with inherently like almost every interpretation of this setting involves like first person with guns and stealth mechanics and so on. So there's always going to be like the environmental storytelling and careful navigation of the environment and wondering all these things about what's going on. And they're like, we're going to make it open world. I'm like, that's not what that does. Those ideas don't. Open world Cyberpunk that's an those don't work together. Those terms don't mean anything. Like it's all sculpted stories. It's why the best part of all of Cyberpunk is the first 2 hours and the last 2 hours. It's like everything in the middle is just a fucking waste of time, and that's most of the game. It's an anti-Final Fantasy 15. It's the reverse.
I think it could have worked if they had decided to make the levels more. How should I put it? Like
levels? They should have just been levels, like in both Deus Ex and Shadowrun. It should have just been a series of missions with a start and an end.
But they could. You can still isolate different areas in the same city and make them feel unique and interesting.
Here's the big locked gate that only opens at the beginning of this mission, and then that's the only way in.
Like, yeah,
and now
GTA
it's like,
has been doing
here's
more
an
or less
environment
that.
that was secluded from the rest of the world, and maybe it's accessible after you've beaten the mission or something.
Yeah.
But instead, it was just like, here's a big fucking sludge map of samey buildings, and you just kind of drive mindlessly to the next place and press the button that skips you to there because, I don't know, fucking putting in the work to drive there yourself doesn't actually add to the experience. And then you just like, there we are, I'm there. Wow. Oh, I shot a guy to death in like one hit. And then the game tells me why the story was interesting, and half the time fails to do anything with that.
They just compounded the bad design decisions. Is those random quests? Like who comes up with the idea that random quests are a good thing?
It's radio quests. It's like I think
Radiant,
that's Bethesda's fault.
Yeah, not just their fault.
I think of it as being a Fallout 4 thing, but I think it might have been a Skyrim thing, and I just didn't play it.
Skyrim did have some of those.
Just try to generate forever content, as if the game having 1 billion content isn't enough already. They have to dilute it with shitty content.
It's like especially with Bethesda games where the content is already pretty diluted, even the handcrafted one. Although I still stand by Skyrim being better than Oblivion. I honestly feel that in so many aspects.
They blow their load too hard. It's bad. You can't do that. Skyrim's immediate, like, you killed a dragon in the first 10 minutes of the game, and now you're kind of a god. Anyway, let's try to tell a story from here, where we just peaked immediately. I literally get to the top of the mountain, I'm like, I'm already bored. All right, I'm the Superman, and there's a bunch of wolves and men in a boring gray place that's not fun to look at. And
if it had Dark Souls combat,
I beat the Yeti, which was the mid boss. Then I beat a dragon, which was the final boss. That's it. It's just a 3-hour game. The end. Roll credits.
You just went straight
I'm the
to the
Dragonborn. I won. Like fucking
like the whole
fucking Oblivion. You're in the sewers, and Patrick Stewart's there, and he's like, "You must find. I'm the king of the bullshit or whatever. Let's get out of here." Like, I'm dead. You should find my son, maybe, or something. And you're going out into the world, and it's like, oh fuck, there's like portals to hell opening now, and it's like there's like an escalation over time, and then you do the
Oblivion's intro is too long though. I think they did well. They did better in Skyrim, even though they have that whole path down the mountain in the cart. But
Skyrim has one of those trash intros where it's like, this entire place is dying and the stakes are so high and you better watch out, but actually you can just wander around aimlessly because you can't actually tell where to go, and it completely deflates how dying this village is. You're in so much danger. Oh, a dragon's attacking. You're like, where do I go? Am I making a choice between 2 different groups right now? What's happening? Where am I? What's your name? Everyone's just kind of gray and hard to tell apart. God, that game's so gray. That game's so gray. I cannot tell anybody. Why is everyone's favorite RPG gray? You had so many choices and you picked the one that's gray. Stop.
I think the moment Bethesda... Sorry.
No, I was just saying it's made by Bethesda.
That is the most visually uninteresting game ever.
They figured out colors in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. They know colors.
Oh no. Monkey paw.
Like, the thing is... Monkey paw. The thing is... I'm playing Fallout, as I keep mentioning, because
Cyrodiil's beautiful.
I'm playing Fallout 3 right now, which is green, and Photoshop has a thing that is auto tone and auto contrast and a bunch of other things. And every screenshot that I make on the thumbnails, I just auto tone, and it's just a normal picture, and it's good. Looks good.
Because it's a universal filter over the whole game, so you can just unfilter the green.
Yeah,
and then New Vegas is gold.
New Vegas is very gold, yeah. But then again, it is in California.
I made the discovery like 6 months ago, I think, when I was in what's it called? Dalaran in is that Legion? I think it's the Legion expansion of WoW. I was in Dalaran, and it was nighttime, and I wanted to take a screenshot because I finally succeeded at my goal of having like my orange fox character, because they added foxes to the game as playable. and I wanted to have an orange fox as a mount and 2 orange foxes as hunter pets, and then an orange fox as like a cosmetic pet. So it would just be like 5 foxes running around, and one of them is the leader because he has opposable thumbs. And it's like, this is just so existentially terrifying. And I finally accomplished my goal, and I took a picture, but it was like, it's fucking nighttime though, and Dalaran, and like, motherfucker, and like, I don't want to wait. So I put it into GIMP, and I just put it in brightness contrast and press the auto adjust levels button, and it's just a perfect daylight picture. And it's like, oh my god, this game creates nighttime by just making the game blue. All of World of Warcraft simulates nighttime by just putting a blue filter over the screen that is universal. It's so even and universal that the game can be instantly converted. So like, do it at home, everybody. If you
cinema does that every once in a while, but it looks really obvious.
Yeah, like if you're playing this game and you want to see how it creates nighttime, just put it into an auto levels thing and see if it just instantly looks like a daylight picture. It's like a fucking like Walking Dead. We filmed this during the day, but it's a nighttime scene. So the screen's just blue now.
I think the problem, I don't know. How old is the game?
Is World of Warcraft?
Oh yeah, it's World of. I thought you were talking about.
It's like 2004.
Yeah, World of Warcraft, 2004. Yeah. Older games specifically, because it's graphically intensive to change everything in lighting.
Yes, they just don't have lighting.
Nope, it's just color palette, which is a lot easier. Not color palette even. It's just it's called universal lighting, or sometimes it's called universal lighting. Not to be confused with universal lighting from RTX technologies from NVIDIA these days, which is completely different. But yeah, a lot of engines do that, which is the base color of whatever you see. Oftentimes it is black, pitch black, and then you have a normal 100% lighting based picture. But you can just make it daytime by just making it brighter instead of pitch black, and it's just daytime, and you don't need to put any lights. I think most engines work like that.
They didn't need lights, just everything is kind of vaguely illuminated.
I'd prefer if the game just went pitch black at night.
I like that
as well. I just had to figure it out. I just had to walk
not
around.
like
You
that.
just have to carry a torch around.
No torches either. Torches don't work. Just pure blackness.
Oh, you just want the screen. I mean, you can. This is just turn off your monitor. It's easy to simulate.
No, because I want to be able
my monitor's turned off running Final Fantasy 14, where I'm going to do all the raids, but I can't see the game.
Andrew wants to see the Discord overlay.
I still want to be able to see my gun and everything, but I don't want to be able to see anything else. I don't want to know where I'm aiming at or anything. I just want to be able to see that I have a weapon in hand and that I am moving, and that's it.
That's Stalker. In Stalker, you cannot see anything, although you also can't see your gun. Stalker is such an underrated FPS.
Shadows of Chernobyl,
you can't see your
Old
gun.
Shadows edition.
You can see. Yeah, they really
Nothing
wanted
but
to
Shadows of Chernobyl.
It's one of those early games where they really wanted the lighting system to carry the load effectively, and so yeah, that global illumination setting is turned way down, and so you cannot see things, especially nighttime. It's like nighttime is you're just blind. It worked a little better with CRT screens, I suppose. CRT screens were different in low light, I feel. Might be wrong. Or are you guys too young to have CRT screens?
For which one?
I mean, I doubt it.
You had CRT? You never had a CRT screen for a computer?
I think I did.
Yeah.
It's like the big beige thing.
Yeah. CRT is the big fat screen.
Mine was black. My first screen. I had a black CRT screen.
Like it didn't display anything? Like
no,
it was just a black screen the
it
whole
wasn't
time?
beige. I mean, it wasn't beige. It was black. It was a Samsung thingy.
Oh, okay. I think mine was just whatever came with my computer. I think it was like a regular gray Gateway or E-Machines monitor, whatever.
Gateway's still around, speaking of old companies.
No, my first computer was an E-Machines. I remember because it's such a fucking trash machine. and it didn't make sense that you could just legally sell that to people.
Mine came with free video games. I remember that whole fucking experience going into a GameStop with my hard-earned money as a child and be like, I saved up enough for a video game. I can finally have my own computer. And me and my brother will stop fighting over who gets to play fucking Diablo 2 on the same computer on the same dial-up connection with a fucking egg timer and shit. And it's like, I'm going to have 15 minutes. My own. And it was mostly just to play Diablo 2 and World of Warcraft. But there was definitely like I remember having like a fucking it came with like Tropico, like one of the Tropico games, and like Command and Conquer Red Alert or something. Because like I bought it at Best Buy, and you'd like get to pick out 3 free video games from this one like shelf to come with your computer.
Wasn't there
Red Alert is a good game. Tropico, nah, not so much.
Oh, right. Okay. I was thinking, like, I thought you could have multiple computers on one dial-up line.
And well, the thing is, we had one computer, period, back then.
It was like this big fucking progression. You'd be like, oh my god, I can have my own computer. There we go. This will change everything. Because up until then, it was like shared consoles and shared computers, and you just had to like cohabitate your hobby with your sibling the entire time. So being able to like split off entirely was like a big thing. And when my brother got a computer, he just never looked back. So at that point, just all the consoles pretty much were just mine. Because he never wanted to do anything besides computers anymore. And like not even like light. Well, it's not like he like spread out into the vast breadth of PC gaming. Like I think I've consistently played more PC games than he does. It's just he just plays like 2 games forever.
That's the trap of PC gaming. And
like he pretty much played Diablo 2 all the way up until like from launch all the way up until when they remake it. Like it's just always Diablo 2 forever. Like
that's dedication.
And World of Warcraft for a while, and usually he's always excited about what this or that MMO, which it's like a hell of a trap to fall into over and over again, because it's like it's always like, wow, this MMO looks kind of interesting, and then you play it for like 2 weeks, and then you go back to like World of Warcraft or something. Like I remember I remember going through that loop like the first like 3 times, and I'm like, he's still doing it. He's still like getting hyped up about Ashes of Creation and sending me videos about like all the crazy stuff about it. And I'm like, I look at these videos and it's just like all they're promising is like progression systems or like time sinks. Like none of this involves gameplay and an argument why the gameplay is fun. And I'm like, wow, you fundamentally look for different things than I do, because at no point does this Ashes of Creation like fan channel that's obsessively covering their stuff because they made a job out of being their PR arm, because that's what people do, is they preemptively hype games for years and make a living off of hyping somebody else's game like Destiny or Ashes of Creation or whatever. And it's like, oh wow, look at all these amazing fucking time sync systems you can have. The world's divided into nodes or whatever the fuck. And it's like, yeah, what is game fun? The world's divided into nodes. I'm like, that's not what I'm asking.
Look at how big the map is. You can go up to level 100.
While he's anticipating Ashes of Creation, he's also like, oh my god, Amazon's new MMO. And like he was making a big deal about that a few days ago. I'm like,
good luck getting in.
I can't. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of this like chasing every MMO.
Is that MMO the one Bird is working on?
No, it's already out. New World.
Oh, New World. Oh, I keep seeing news about it breaking people and being bad.
Just bizarre things like people being invulnerable. Things about how like if you die, like supposedly if you die too far from a campfire, you have to wait a week to respawn or something.
Oh my god!
I mean, so the problem is just one, it's a brand new game. Like,
and Amazon is the poor company that doesn't have computers. They don't understand computers very well.
I mean, it's mostly just, again, every brand new game made in modern times is not going to be nice to play on the first day. It's always going to be an absolute shitstorm mess for like the first couple of months. And then secondly, it's an MMO, which means it's an online game with a bunch of shitty bugs and problems that you have to play with a bunch of other people. But
it's also a genre that's kind of designed to torture you.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's also an MMO.
It still is just like this, like the loop of just being like, this isn't
it's
that
the same
fun,
game.
But there's a bunch of goals you haven't accomplished yet, and don't you want to do that? Everyone else is doing them faster.
It's the same game from 2004. They do not advance. It's the same game. Incredible.
To an extent, yeah. But hey,
I mean,
Final Fantasy 14
only...
has unlockable dances, so
yeah, that's the real advances. It's stuff like you can
which honestly
customize
every game, please.
Yeah, that's also that.
Once I realized the mechanics of the grind at the Golden Saucer in Final Fantasy 14 and how relatively achievable the dances were, I'm like, well, this is my project for a week. Just poking at this occasionally until I have the money for those things because I want the dances. That's like the most satisfying thing in all of Final Fantasy 14 is getting another dance. Like nothing else matters. I don't give a... another mount that's ugly. Great. Another over-designed nightmare Final Fantasy mount because all their monsters are just... It's so spaced out. Like there's creature designs I like, but it's like 1 out of every 50. And like I think armor pieces are like 1 out of like 1,000. Like so much of it's so ugly looking. But dances. I want to make my big doofy dumbass character have more dances. He has the bee's knees now. I'm gonna do the bee's knees tonight during the Final Fantasy stream.
Oh.
The biggest downside is the dances at that Golden Saucer are not that good. There's the best options require you to like get invested in something.
I don't know. Their MMOs are kind of there's a lot of time where they're just like huge sinkholes and you get like brief nuggets of fun when you're playing with other people. But
yeah,
then it goes back to being like, why does this game exist? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this? I should just not. And then you like play with friends and you're like, okay, this is fun, I guess. And
that's why I pretty much exclusively do that. Yeah.
It's just really infuriating to try to see like people jumping off of one to another. And I get it, maybe if you're following your friends, sure. But it just feels like really silly where you're like, okay, well, so this game is only that, again, it sounds stupid because that's the whole point, but the game is only as valuable as the people you have to play it
There
with.
are people who video games are basically just a series of experiences that you grind through. Like they're grinding things and you like complete the grind or whatever, or get distracted by a different grind. And like fundamentally like the experience of like the value of a game is measured by how long it is essentially, and like the money aspect and so on. Like I had a conversation with Marty at one point when I was playing Alien Isolation and I complained that it's too long because it is. And
yeah, a little bit.
And he gave me this face like does not compute at the idea that a game can be too long. Like the idea that like a 20-hour horror experience might be a little poorly paced and like nightmarish at some point. Because all he does is play like MMOs and Factorio and Valheim now and stuff like that. Like it's always like these infinity games that are, some of them are the MMO grindy stuff and some fuck. And some of them are like a different like completely different like the open world crafting games or the factory games obviously. But it's always like these games you just play forever, and that's like just what games are. People like fundamentally experience games differently. Just like you have people that only like there's just is there's the stuff that's announced at E3, and then other video games don't exist. It's just the E3. It's stuff you can buy in a store on a shelf, and all other video games, nothing. Indie games, what are those? No.
What part of Alien Isolation did you think needed to be cut for it not to be that long?
I don't remember. It's been too long now. It's just too long. It's just inherently. It's a game that's designed to be. It's like exhausting in its concept, like to be endlessly stalked all the time, every second of every day. Like that's just the entire game's experience, and it just keeps going for so long. And the game, from what I remember, the game barely has a plot. It's just a series of contrivances of what the next thing is you have to fix or get past or whatever. So like,
I'll never know.
The answer is any of it. You could just cut any of it. Just pick some.
It's a little bit like that,
if there's some narrative elements you want to keep, just move them.
It's a little bit like that. I feel like it's okay to be long.
It's like one of those navigational games where like any of the hallways could just be a different hallway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the hallway is. It's just they just made that particular level as a puzzle.
I think there are some memorable levels though. Specifically, that area where you get stuck in a room right before you get the flamethrower, and there's the last part of the game. I think is a really nice stretch after you get kidnapped. No spoilers or anything, but that last part lasts for like, it's fine. You can't tell. It's like 2 or 3 hours. Like you think the game is over. You get to a point where you're like, oh, this is about to end. It's like, I did like, big challenge up ahead, and this is like the last level. And nope, there's 3 hours of content after that, or 3 or 4.
That
and
can be that can be such a gut punch for pacing, is when you think the game's about to end, and then it's like, no, this is Act 2 now. You're like, oh,
yeah, that's what that game does. And the thing is, I think because the way they designed the alien, it is a very exhausting game. And the fact that it is long is part of that exhaustion. Yeah, it's just if you play that on hardest difficulty, you're never gonna play it.
Well, I did, and the game wouldn't let me, so I never played it.
We have
you didn't launch? What?
No,
I think I've heard
we had a playthrough of the game before I eventually did it myself on my channel, but we originally had a playthrough on Sad Games that was stopped, and it just did not go anywhere. It was not going well. I couldn't
go anywhere. What was I supposed to fucking do? The monster literally would not leave. It was stuck at the goddamn door. I could not get past it. I can't.
It was kind of stuck, but it's also like a thing where like I think that maybe Alien Isolation is really hard to do multiple commentators on. Like it's a little too distracting, so you can't figure out how to solve this like oppressive alien. Like the alien is just so much that it takes 100% of your attention just to figure out what the fuck to do to get past most of the game. Like, which is part of why it's exhausting.
And he cheats, and he cheats.
Oh yeah, it definitely teleports around. I mean, conceptually, the levels are really big, and it's always near you.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, it magically knows what zone I'm in, and isn't like, oh, you made a noise all the way over there, and now I got to run across the whole map to get to you or whatever. It's like, and you can like get away in time or whatever. It's like, no, fuck you. If you fuck up and ever make too much noise, it pretty much just kills you. It'll just materialize out of any spawner and get you.
Not quite. I mean, not even without the flamethrower. You can make noise and evade the alien, but it is really difficult. And it's actually the most in my memory anyway. That part of you making noise and evading the alien is the most cheesable part of the AI. Everything else they did such a good job making it feel like,
also depends on your difficulty
it's an AI.
a lot. Like I played it on hard because by all accounts I heard the game was like embarrassing on other difficulties. Like it was like barely a video game. Like I watched the previously recorded episode on it, which is like a spin-off from the Red Letter Media people, and like they played it on like normal or whatever, and like the AI was just completely brain dead the entire game, and they could just like look it in the face sometimes, and like the game was trivial and easy the whole way through, and it's like, all right, well that's enough indicator that I should do my Let's Play on hard.
I played it on maximum difficulty. And it's just
that doesn't sound like a very well-made AI. If that's like the varying degrees of it, it's just
that's a constant thing. Is that just like it's one of the reasons I hate difficulty modes. Like obviously we had a whole podcast discussing like the upsides of them, but one of the things I don't like about difficulty modes is just as a Let's Player, but also just as a gamer, just playing in a vacuum too. There's always this experience of like, am I getting the intended experience? Is this the right one? If no matter what mode I pick, it
doesn't really matter.
No matter what mode I pick, I'm told I picked the wrong one in games.
But the thing is,
like I should have played Dead Space on a higher difficulty, and me having like just a smallest margin of challenge in any Doom game always leads to condescending people telling me that I should have picked a lower difficulty and that I need to switch and so on. It's like, fuck you! I'm supposed to die in this game.
I think the intended difficulty that's a pitfall. It doesn't matter what the developers intended. Did you have fun? And
but I don't want. The problem I have is that I want to just play the game once and have the good experience. I don't want to like. It's like the Fallout thing. I don't want to like make a character play for like half the game and then be like, oh, time to start the game over and have the real experience because I fucked this one up. It's like that sucks. I don't want that. I want to take whatever character I did make and like solve through it and have some kind of like unique experience as a result, which I guess I technically did, but not one that was like well made. Like my Fallout experience was not like interesting beyond the experience of being like, I've played this game 70 times and look at what this dumbass did. Like, if it wasn't interesting for me, I almost every single area I got like no story.
Yeah, well,
I barely met anybody.
You might be underestimating or overestimating just how much story Fallout has.
Yeah, well, it's because people always hype it up as being this rich, fucking incredible experience, and the master is the best to fucking encounter with anyone ever, and he's so deep.
But the Rose of the Tinted,
the new games are all bad because this was the super deep in depth one that had more of everything.
It's really like,
obviously 3 exists, so they're lying.
I've got some serious shade these days at all the people hyping up like 3 in New Vegas compared to the first 2. I'm sorry, hyping up the first 2 compared to 3 in New Vegas, because I'm like, you've I feel like you guys are lying a bit about the strengths and weaknesses of both of these games.
The thing about the old Fallouts and old RPGs in general is that it really wasn't like, even though there was a focus in replayability and different solutions to the same quest, it was the case, like, it's very much the case that there was the optimal solution for every quest. So the moment you figure out how to optimally solve any quest in the game, you have the one playthrough.
I feel like the problem with games that are that old is the fact that Deus Ex and BioWare like irreparably like improved the genre, and their shit wasn't around yet. And so like everything from before those 2 games, like Deus Ex improved the gameplay of a lot of shit, and BioWare like encouraged having these like in-depth storylines with companions and arcs and all that. And before that, it's just like, hey, I'm a guy with a leather jacket. Hey, you want to come with me? Yeah, I guess I'm bored. I will now never be a character ever again. The end. Oh, I died in that one random field. That's my ending, I guess. What a narrative.
I don't think
Thanks,
forgot the sad music.
Like, I don't think either BioWare games.
The game doesn't even look different from other people. He's just a random guy in a jacket, and you're fighting 30 people with jackets, and you're like, oh shit, I think Ian might be one of the corpses, but I can't tell.
Fallout 1 and 2 they're not games like Deus Ex or BioWare games. They're not made the same way. They're like, yeah, it's not like, yeah, in a way it is like the process of discovery is what I was saying. Like, it's until you figure out how to beat a quest in a certain interesting way, you didn't really get all that you had to get from that particular quest, right? Because you didn't get like there's like this special ending where you can like hijack this train or whatever, or get your car all tuned up, or there's a zombie that cures your other zombie or whatever. And like all that stuff is hidden if you didn't figure it out. But the moment you do, the replayability value of those games just tanks immediately, because the quests are more about that sort of like,
because you just play the game over and over again until you find the one like actually interesting way to play the game, and then it's like, well, I saw it now. The end.
It is a little bit like that, yeah. It is. Yeah. I think
I was surprised by how handholdy the game was. Like in that, like, there's so much like preamble about how like this is the like people hype it up as being this kind of game where it's like, we're not gonna hold your hand anymore, like you gotta actually like be good enough to beat this game, you gotta make all the right choices, you could completely ruin your playthrough, which I'm sure like if you fuck up enough is eventually possible, but like I fucked up pretty bad in a lot of ways. And what I mostly realized is that the game has 2 systems that are basically fail safes that just beat the game for you. For the first half of the game, you just have companions that could just win all the fights for you. And for the second half of the game, you get power armor that just fundamentally changes how stats work and like just breaks the game.
The thing is, Fallout 1 isn't really about the combat. And you can tell that
because
the combat system
that's all that you have to beat to win.
Well, but your character was all about the combat.
I didn't even want to be. He was about science. I made a science boy, and I was like, I'm gonna have like science dialogue. It's like apparently that's not what Fallout 1 is.
Nope, that's speech. It's what speech.
It's fucking stupid.
It is yes, it is very obtuse. But what you
That's
said,
what was
like,
good about New Vegas is your skills had fucking they would show up and give you new dialogue options for all the different skills, and it was like that's the one thing that Fallout 3
does better.
That's how every dialogue system should be for skills. Is to be like, oh, I have expertise in this. This is my chance. That's the one thing that Fallout 3 brings to the fore in any Bethesda game, but also in the Fallout franchise, is that it actually cares about what skills you have in the dialogues and the options. But then New Vegas made it better because it was just like, oh yeah, I do know about that, and then it would just happen. Whereas in Fallout 3, it was like, oh no, I got like a barter skill, or technically bartering is a bad example because it's a persuasion type interaction, but like it'll be like, oh yeah, I got an engineering skill. Let's roll a 12% chance of whether I know this thing or not. It's like you just do or you don't. How it's just you're good at engineering or you're not. It's not a fucking dice roll.
The lines are so badly written. Fallout 3 has some of the worst skill lines specifically. The worst stuff. It's so consistent. All your skill lines is written like the writers were completely out of ideas. And it's just like they know the story they want to tell, the story about what they want to say. It's just, it's normal writing.
But they're just so tired.
In comes the science line. Yeah. But Fallout 1 is just, and Fallout 1 and 2 are just, they're different. They're games from a different era. I think like even if you compare it to the BioWare games that were happening at the time, you see the same principle of quests. Like I don't think you've ever played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Nope.
Yeah. If you play them, there's a lot of quests that you're just not going to figure out how to solve. Well, maybe not a lot of quests, but there's going to be some quests that you're just going to be like, well, I don't know how to advance. Either you look it up or you don't do it. And a lot of the replayability of those games is precisely in figuring out what to do to figure out some quests out. So it's like a puzzle in a, there's puzzles as well.
What I do is I just vibrate anxiously for 2 hours and then edit it out. And I'm like, I did it. I found the jankiest solution to the bullshit.
Yeah.
Just have to load the same save and talk to the master again for an hour, and then I'll finally beat the game.
It's just because you needed 130% speech. I think I haven't watched the whole of the last episode. I only watched the rambling after. Because it's difficult for me. I feel I feel compelled to comment on every second, and I'm like, no. Seriously, it's difficult.
You can just do an entire Let's Play that's just you talking shit over my Let's Play.
Yeah,
do it.
Professional Let's Player watches professional Let's Player play video game.
You see, I beat Ocarina of Time 17 times, and I can't believe it took you 30 seconds longer than the medium to realize that the music direction is how you go through the Lost Woods and the...
But like what I said a couple of weeks back, or maybe last week, is I still stand by it. You did very well. I have done so many bad things in Fallout 1 and 2. So many bad choices. So many like dumb things. And I think everybody
my biggest regret is I didn't save Dog Meat by locking him in a random room and then leaving.
Like I think losing your companions in that game is part of the fun.
No, I just dropped them off. They just go work at that shop now, except in the epilogue that town got wiped out. Maybe they left.
Yeah.
But that was a guy that pissed me off, and so I shot him in the face, and so that was just an empty building now, and I just left my 2 companions there. They just get to chill. I think there was more. I found out later that there's a Junkertown companion that I literally didn't even register existed as a person.
I have only hired that companion once. Like, and I don't remember when it was, but I was very young.
Those games just have massive crowds of people, and you can't tell like who matters ever.
Yeah, you just need to talk to everyone. Remember how old games used to say talk to everyone?
Yeah, but it's so hard to talk to everyone because you can't. You think you did. I tried to talk to everyone in every town, and I couldn't tell. At some point, you can't tell who you have and haven't talked to, and half of them walk around, and they look the same.
And you're on camera, so you can't do what everybody does, which is just do it over and over and over and over again.
Just obsessively, like a fucking lunatic.
Obsessively.
And then, like, a lot of the dialogue's really not memorable, so you're just like, have I had this conversation before? So then if you try to brute force it for hours and then edit it together later, you're like, is this a new conversation? Do I put this in? Fuck.
I need to check my footage.
Yeah, it's a huge pain in the ass. But yeah, like people,
No.
why don't you find every secret in every game? It's like, oh yeah, why don't I just grind my face against every single wall of every single room and mash A for hours? That's compelling. People don't get. People don't get that very basic element of why we behave this way.
In my completionist playthrough, I think I got everything in Fallout 1 in my completionist playthrough. But in my completionist playthrough of Fallout 2, I still didn't get everything, and I looked at walkthroughs. I know the game back and forth, and I still messed up every once in a while because those are really hard games to finish, like full on all secrets.
Oh yeah, it's like how it's really stressful to try to do all the storylines of all the characters in a Dark Souls game, even if you think you know them, because it's just like
exactly
every time you defeat any boss, you're afraid that you're accidentally defeating the boss that breaks somebody's quest chain because you didn't talk to them in the right place yet or something.
Mm-hmm. Or you didn't upgrade your pyromancy flame.
It's so arbitrary.
I didn't. I just remembered that the other day that you need to upgrade your pyromancy flame to level 10 to unlock a companion that disappears in a very, very early boss fight. If you fight a very early boss fight, which is the spider lady, that one NPC disappears, and upgrading your pyromancy flame,
a boss that can be made even easier
difficult.
by the master key.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah, I did it. I did in one of my Dark Souls playthroughs just to fuck with the play order. I killed 4 kings before I went to Anor Londo. And I think I made it so that the spider lady, Quelaag, was my first boss fight after Asylum. So I killed the Asylum demon, and then I killed Quelaag. Because it's like, this is how weird this game is, especially with the Master Key, but also just in general. Like, you can play it really strangely once you know where everything is.
But also, a bunch of NPCs don't spawn because of that.
Yeah, no, it does weird things. There's also the really funny detail that it takes a while. You have to talk to Solaire. And then you have to talk to Lautrec, and in order to use Lautrec during the Gargoyle boss, you have to like leave and come back basically, and talk to him back at your town. And then like after a few checks, he then shows up as a summoning sign. Like it's easier to find the Gargoyle boss than it is to find Lautrec in the first place. So it's easy to just miss the opportunity to know him yet. But if you've met Solaire and Lautrec, then you can summon both of them for the Gargoyle boss, and then just watch as they beat it for you. Like you don't have to help at all. And it's really fucking funny, especially knowing that like the genesis of YouTubing was me and Andrew playing Dark Souls 1, and like it being such an ordeal trying to beat the Tauros demon and trying to beat the Gargoyle, and how like mind-blowing it was when we finally beat the butterfly on our first try. It's like, oh my god, we beat a boss easily. This has never happened. It's always like an all-day ordeal, nightmare. So having this like having all this background like anger at those characters, and then just fucking like slaughtering the gargoyles without even fighting them was just fucking incredible.
A lot of old games have that mentality. Like I keep going back to Baldur's Gate, but Baldur's Gate has that. If you play a spellcaster in Baldur's Gate, all you have to do is cast the right spells, and you don't even need the rest of your team, because Baldur's Gate is a party-based RPG. You have a team of 6. And all companions that talk and all that. But if you have one spellcaster with the right spells, you just cast them, and that's it. And you kill everything. It's just like, it's easy mode. It's not. It's really difficult to figure out what right spells are. But if you look them up, which I can't say I did. I figured them all out by myself, and people in chat helping me out. But it's still... And Fallout 1 is the same, like Fallout 1 and 2. I know the ideal way to beat the game. I never have a hard time with it.
Are you telling me the ideal thing isn't to like disable VATS on your entire character and then specialize in using a sniper rifle?
That is bad. That is a bad thing. You need to shoot them in the eyes always.
And yet, Master dead.
Exactly. It's what I'm saying. Like you did amazing.
Mission accomplished.
Although you did also amazing because you really were very resilient with the amount of stuff that you had to go through off camera. That is... Yeah.
I had a real low point with the glow. I was just so sad. just trying to find out where the fuck the Brotherhood was sending me, and all their instructions being unclear, and then finally going there and not having the rope, and then loading an old save and going back to where my box was, where I left all my random shit, and then being like, oh yeah, I should optimize my gear and so on, and then going to the glow and then realizing I still didn't have the rope. Oh no! And be like, oh fuck. And like every time you do one of these trips, it's like 20 minutes of random encounters and bullshit, and it's just like, I just want to go to the glow with a rope. Then so many comment threads are about how I didn't explore the glow correctly, and I'm like, I tried all the doors. That was all of the glow. What? I don't understand where I missed
that you missed. You missed the it's an interesting dialogue.
I'm pretty sure everything there didn't work or was locked.
It gets activated later.
It's one of those things later.
Like, on a replay, no, in the very last part of the game, of the level, you just have to double back around. I think I don't remember exactly, but it's one of those things. Like the next time you play the game,
how would you know?
I'm sure you will do. Because you just are obsessive when you explore. If you do that, if you're obsessive, you can find it all. Otherwise, you're not. I think it's unfair to expect people to find it. I didn't find it my first time.
It's like the talk to every dialogue person prompt, except what they actually mean is talk to everyone 3 times, apparently, in the case of the glow, because I checked everything. There wasn't much there. It was one U-shaped level, and that was the entire glow.
If I remember correctly, you get in through level 1, you go around the explosion, you find the key card. Go to level 2, or you go directly to level 3. No, I think in level 2 you have a key card as well. And then in level 3 you activate the generator, right?
I don't know.
Did you activate the generator? Because the objective with the glow,
you use a rope on that one piece of rebar or whatever the fuck to enter the hole, and then it's just a U-shaped level that ends in you getting the power. You
didn't go down the elevator?
No, everything.
You didn't go down the elevator?
As far as I can remember, everything didn't work.
Oh, that's the problem. Yeah. So the
I couldn't
why you
get
didn't
through any doors. Doors were like locked and stuff.
I have to look at the video. There's one door that electrocutes you. You need to use repair.
And then there was just like no hint that anything existed there, and nobody ever told me to go there again.
Yeah, the glow is one of those deceiving quests, because the objective is just to get a single item that's right at the start. But if you dig deeper, you get a huge amount of level. But it's also mostly
it's really fucking weird retroactively, because this game keeps giving you radiation items, and it's the only place with radiation in the entire game.
Exactly. Well, it's not the only one. There's another one, but it's I think you get radiation in the. Remember those guys that sell guns in Adatum by the Deathclaw, or after the Deathclaw? Or did you not find them?
Yeah, there's like a toxic waste like river or something, but I don't think you could walk in it.
I think you get radiation there.
It didn't give me any radiation.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think. Yeah, that's true. The glow is the only place
you get radiation. But they probably didn't want to gate you there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Which just adds to the insult that Bethesda made Fallout 3 be just Fallout Radiation Edition.
I mean, radiation. I mean, I feel like it's the opposite. It's Bethesda honoring a mechanic that was underutilized, because the original Fallout game showers you with radiation items even well past the point where you've already played the only radiation location, and it's just like, yeah, more radiation items. This will come in handy someday. You better use your limited inventory space to carry these around for no reason. And it's like, the game ended. There was no radiation ever.
You do receive radiation from traveling around the world, because there's radiation storms and stuff. But it's very.
I don't think I ever encountered radiation, and I had a bunch of redundant traveling all the time. Mostly just encountered that one merchant that doesn't really sell anything, but he basically just gives you directions to towns but I only met him after I'd been to everyone. But then I met him like 7 times, and it's the same conversation, and that's the entire encounter.
Yeah.
I also like the one where you just spawn and nothing's there, and you're like,
oh, that's the good encounter.
Is anything happening?
No enemies.
Is this an encounter? What's happening? And then you read the text, and it's like, oh, rocks fall, but they didn't hurt you. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Those are the good encounters. In Fallout 2, when that happens, usually it's Deathclaws around you.
You could just not have an encounter if nothing happened.
Fallout 2 has so many more. Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you.
Because I still have to be like, oh, what's happening? And then like search the screen for context, and then, walk away slowly. Like, I was on my way somewhere, and you just made it take a minute longer and nothing happened.
And Fall 1 is one of those games that people say, oh, you can finish the game without killing anyone. And it's true, but it does... Oh, Shadow. But it does require you to run away from everyone in the wasteland. In a very janky way, because all you do is walk off to the edge of the map, and it automatically puts you in the wasteland. And just you can continue traveling.
Oh yeah, there was just a point where just because combat was so tedious that I would just run to the border of the map during random encounters as much as possible just to not have to do more of it. Yep.
That's what I do all the time as well. That's just the way to play Fallout, honestly. Unless you feel like you find somebody tries to kill you and they don't have interesting gear, you walk away. Just walk away. That's what I do.
I walk this lonely road.
Shadow barked and Andrew left us alone.
I think one of my peak moments of dumb was that might be his food arriving or something. Oh. One of my quintessential things of my run was the fact that like that's one of the title cards at the end that tells you like the epilogue refers to a character I never met and what happened to them. And I'm like, who the fuck? Oh. Who's Tandy?
Who was it? Oh, no, you didn't meet Tandy.
I never met Tandy. Who the fuck's Tandy? Aww. There's Tandy's... There are 3 characters in the first town. There's the doctor, the guards, I guess, is one character together, and there's the one talking head. Those are the 3 characters in all of Fallout 1.
There's Arabeth, who's the leader. There's Tandy, who's his daughter.
No, that other person doesn't exist. She's an epilogue.
There's the doctor. Who there's the doctor, and there's that guy that joins you. If you tell him the weirdest line in the game, that town is so obviously poorly written. It's weird.
You get a part of the loot. He didn't.
No, I think you say a piece of action instead. You can say a piece of action instead, and he's like, okay, and he joins you for 100 experience.
Piece of action. That sounds like he's gonna get laid.
Exactly. It's weird. I don't understand. But then
like, what are you bribing him with?
There's the kids.
Don't you want to follow this ass around, just all around the wasteland?
There's that guy by the well that you tell to do rotating crops in his fields. And I think that's it. I don't remember if there's anybody else.
I wish that game had just been like, maybe people are just like, never touch anything evil, but like there's some parts that could just do with an update.
Oh yeah, but that Fallout is Genesis. That's the beginning. Nothing was ever.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer. There's just stuff that just isn't finished at all.
Yeah,
like the fucking like the meat quest. Like Soylent Green is people, and you're like, I'm gonna confront this this meat vendor, and I'm like, you better bribe me, or I'm gonna tell everybody what you're up to. I'm gonna tell on you to the police. I'm gonna narc on you. And then he's like. And then you're like, okay, how much do you want? And then you're like, this many. And you're like that's fuck you, that's too much. And then that's just the end of the quest. And you're like, wait, where's the part where I narc on? I can't go through with my. I went to all the police and tried talking to them. I tried threatening him again. It's like, no, the dialogue's just dead. No one can talk to you.
In your defense, you missed a few other quests that were like that but finished. So there's more, but yeah, you're right. That one stands out because it's the one. I tried
so hard to talk to literally every NPC in the entire game. How the fuck did I miss so many quests?
I know.
Granted, the game doesn't have a quest log, so that doesn't help. It has a fake quest log that has 3 quests in it, and they're not even like the important ones.
Nope.
And some of them don't go away. I cannot get over that. I think we talked about it last time, but still, like. Yeah. The fucking scrapyard is such a dense location with so many factions and quests, and for all of the scrapyard combined, no, just the scrapyard, the graveyard, the ribs.
Oh, graveyard, yeah,
whatever the bottom place is. Yeah. The bottom place in the city is like one of the most dense locations with so many factions and quests, and the only quest that shows up in your quest log in the entire game is to fix their hydroponics plant. The least interesting quest that
I don't even remember what that is.
It's just I
don't even remember.
You reach the farm in Additim, and there's a random person that's like, fix our stuff. It's like,
oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I think you get a second one. There's a second quest for that, which has to do with the Deathclaw.
There's no quest to like fix your there's no quest to upgrade your armor or your laser rifle. There's no quest to find out what happened to that guy's son. There's no quest to resolve the rivalry between Aditum and the whatever the other people were called. There's no quest to clear out the death claws for the people that want the death claws gone. Like, just nothing.
Can you believe there's you say there's only one quest. There's one quest for dealing with the death claw problem, but it is a different instance of a death claw that isn't the one that you also solve related to that, and you don't solve it in that town. You solve it elsewhere. I don't remember exactly how it is, but I think it's the water merchants that keep complaining about their caravans going missing.
Yeah, that's in the hub. That's the other encounter with a death claw, my first one.
Maybe I'm confusing.
I defeated him by kiting him for half an hour.
Kiting is life in Fallout. Yes.
But yeah, like, in case somebody forgot what I was talking about, I know these are all quests. I'm describing the literal quests that exist. My point is that none of them are in the log, but there is a quest log, and it's only the stupid thing no one cares about is there, and not the 50 other things. It's like, what? How did this quest log happen? Who was it for? It has, like... Yeah. I spent the whole half the game thinking, like, it just has to be broken, right? It's just glitched. It has to be glitched.
No, they just didn't program it.
Why would you only program like 3 quests and they're not even the important ones? The game's so unfinished, and it's like legendary, and it's like, can we just like slightly finish it? Just a little bit? Like, just a couple quality life improvements, like finishing the quest log working. Like, just let the GOG people just like tamper a little bit, just a little bit. Just let them finish the quest log, please.
There are mods that finish the game a little bit more, but none of them touch the quest logs.
What the fuck?
Because the people playing the games and playing with the mods, they already know all the stuff.
They already memorized the whole game, so fuck you.
I think that might be the reason. It could be a technical issue, though. Like, it could be too difficult to make quest logs.
It's just like, why is this in this way? Video games are weird. Video games are weird, and every RPG is janky as fuck. No exceptions.
No exceptions.
Part of why I love the genre. They're trying so hard to make the hardest kind of video game possible, and they never make it. It's always like this weird malformed nightmare with like a missing arm or something.
But we love them. I mean, I love them. Anyway.
They will always have glaring problems, from the translation to like the bugginess, or to like, and just like having that one major feature that you're gonna have to engage with the entire game that just isn't done. And will, like, it'll just get in your way every hour of the entire experience. There's always just something up. And sometimes it's funny and embarrassing, and sometimes it's just confusing. Like like embarrassing being fucking Wasteland 3 saying Colorado Springs in the middle of the screen for our entire playthrough. Holy shit.
What? I think that was like the best part of the game.
We were playing that game for months and it still never got patched. It just said Colorado Springs in big bold letters in the middle of the screen the entire game. But
at least we knew where we were.
When you loaded the game, because to me it only happened.
Close the game and go to the title screen, it would still say it on the title screen. It would say Colorado Springs.
But when you exited the game and loaded the game again, it wouldn't say, right?
Yeah, we'd have to load into our first location, and then that location would be on the screen for the entire playthrough.
Forever again, yeah, that's true.
It's like, Jesus Christ. I remember we had our fever dream moment of realizing the final boss was like clipping into his vehicle and on fire while talking to us, and on top of him it said Colorado Springs. It's just like so hard to take the finale seriously.
Look on the right side.
There's like 4 things broken at the same time, not the least of which was that I like one-shot his tank. Because the game's horribly
look on the right
balanced.
Side. Tomorrow, as of the time of this episode going up, the second DLC is going to come out, so you can replay the game. Cult of the Holy Detonation.
God. Can't we just like skip to those parts?
I don't know.
I should just play anything else instead. That's the thing, is like part of me wants to finish everything about every game, including every DLC for the games I play. But part of me is like, or I could play the next... Or I could just play the next Yakuza game instead or something, or like Podelka or something. Like, why go back? It's not worth it.
You still have your saves.
Like, why go back and play the fucking 17 DLCs to Final Fantasy 15 when I could play Kodelka or something? Anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question that I think you've already found the answer to.
Like, if it was just like free time, like fucking around, who gives a shit, and I don't have to perform, then it's like kind of whatever. But it's like, if you have to like film the episodes and schedule them out and be like, there it goes, like me playing those DLCs, that's like a month or two of me not playing something else because I decided to go back and play DLCs episode Gladiolus.
The DLCs are like 9-hour, 10-hour affairs.
That's long.
Yeah, well, I suppose yes. That's fair.
That means those 2 DLCs are like an entire month of the RPG slot being dedicated to, well, let's see how much lore they added to Wasteland 3, a game that was Wasteland 3 the first time.
The multiplayer experience is something. I did experience some bugs, but nowhere near like you.
It's just the fact that even if it wasn't buggy, it was just like not a very well told story, and the gameplay was balanced like just complete ass, and it was frequently glitchy and broken.
The story actually baffled me.
We wouldn't know because we literally killed every instance of it. All
these parts where your character's like at a doorway, but he can't shoot through the doorway, but he can shoot through a wall in the other direction for some reason. And like animal companion being the only skill that matters.
I think the story relied a little bit too much on people being ambiguous about the patriarch. People being like, maybe the patriarch.
Yeah,
is
not
good.
having your decision made up immediately.
Yeah, but why wouldn't your decision be made up literally from the gate? Like the moment you meet the guy,
you saw
like,
the patriarch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like you see what the game is telling you. It's like it's very blatant.
I feel like you don't get any room to breathe with that guy. The moment he shows up and he tells you,
he's
like,
just the worst.
Look, this is he's just like, this is how it is. If you don't agree with it, then just get the hell out of Colorado. I'm like, I literally came here to get food. You're not giving it to me unless I do some shitty side quest for you. All right, so there's 2 options here. Either you want this done horribly, or you want me to kill you. And so me and Keith decided we're just going to do both.
It's like they did. It was really funny how every time we killed one of his kids, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to be so mad if you don't do that again." And then we kill another one of his kids, like, "Oh, I'm so mad at you now." He's still innocent. It's still like he never fights you. We murdered every one of his children, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm so angry again." And he's so fucking toothless. He's so fucking embarrassing as a villain.
And then the moment it's time to fight him, we're just like, 1, 2,
don't you do
we're
it.
Done. Bye.
He talks about us killing his kids like we're a cat knocking a glass off a table.
Basically.
What a shitty villain.
Except we do it like 3 times because he keeps putting the glass right in front of us.
It's like the developers didn't understand the idea that we might already be predisposed against the idea of falling for, like, here's the guy that claims you have to do things his way or nothing will work out. Like, he's the only thing holding things together and you have to do his system and everything. And we're just like, immediately don't believe this shit that we totally need the kingmaker or whatever the fuck to, like, in order to save our people. It's like, whatever, we could just take your shit. This could be our kingdom now.
Also, it doesn't even account to the fact that, like, we don't live here. So like how this country, how this state survives is of no consequence to us as long as we get our food and go, because that's all we care about. So like,
all of his kids
if we
were
just
so
have to,
bad.
Yeah, and so like the only option was, hey, why don't you get one of my hyper psychotic and crazy children to run this country or this state, or you could just wipe us all out, take our food, and go. And it was like, well, one of those is a way easier option. I'm just gonna wipe your food. Like, I'm gonna wipe your clan out and take your food. Like, what are you gonna do? Stop me?
In the light of Fallout and stuff, like, it has like some similar problems where it's like, wow, look at all these different options you have, and you can just shoot anybody, and there's all these things you can do, and it's like, yeah, but you basically have to play the game a really specific way to have a good, interesting experience, and every other option is you misstepping of like building your character wrong or making the wrong choices or, you know, shooting an NPC ever, like the heavily advertised feature of being like, wow, that's what's interesting about us, but it's like only interesting in that it ruins the game. Like, you just like most of the options that are supposed freedoms just make the game less interesting and have less to say, and even lock you out of content. Like we had such an obvious moment of like, there's a giant Reagan robot, which is already bad, and it has a kick the dog moment where it murders the adorable robot that you're sad that it murdered, and you're like, I'm just gonna shoot the Reagan bot. Obviously, this is the most obvious raid boss moment ever. And then it's like, wow, you skipped 17 storylines and 4 zones. Then none of them work now. You go to the entire next zone after that, and they're already mad at you for a thing you did before you met them, so you never get to even interact with that entire zone.
And it doesn't even make sense that aspect that they get mad at you, because they really shouldn't be mad at you.
Yeah,
well, they're mad at you because you killed a robot, and it's weird because they're not mad at the robot.
Techno cultist or whoever the fuck it was, people are like actively a problem for the robot settlement, and the Reagan bot is like the leader of all that mess. But they want you, but like, you're only allowed to engage with the story if you like parlay with the Reagan bot, meet the robot people afterwards, because he's literally in the way of them, and then go back and be do a whole like, I think it's like a rehabilitation of the Reagan bot quest or some shit. And it's like, what the fuck? Shoot the evil robot. It's not that deep. They didn't even, and the game developers didn't even think about the idea that we would do that, because like, the game
they called him
fundamentally Reagan. Doesn't work as a game for like 3 zones if you do that. That one, like, it's a good thing that fight took 2 hours to resolve, because that's all the content we got for like 3 zones. They just turn into they just turn into museums where you just can't do anything. You're just like, oh, look around, oh, there's people here, they're hanging out. All right, bye guys.
They're really pissed.
See you in the epilogue slideshow.
And that's like a third of the game right there.
So bad. Don't do it. Like, you gave us the option.
Do you want to know something though about the DLCs? If you the DLCs have 2 or 3 options, major options for the major quest line, or at least the first DLC has, and one of them or 2 of them, the Patriarch doesn't like. Doesn't like it if you choose it. So you get more chances to go up to the Patriarch and tell him you did something that he didn't like.
And then he still doesn't do anything again.
He still doesn't do anything though, yeah.
The Patriarch is such a fucking impotent villain or hero or whatever the fuck you think he is based on your playthrough, but he's obviously the villain. He should be
detached from you. He should be like, you couldn't talk to him. You could just like talk to him over the phone, and if you did bad things to him, he'd be on your ass or something, or throw people at you or something.
It's also frustrating because we just saw a better example. Like, I don't usually praise tyranny, but like the judge thing was cool.
Why not? Tyranny was great.
Tyranny pissed me off because every single it misplaced all of its decision points.
Oh,
it was really restrictive about when you could make choices, and it loved to reveal information right after you made your choice that would change what your choice is, but then not allow you to like be like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna hit you now and you're gonna die. Like, you like, one of the most pissed off moments I ever had was the fucking guy that like reads with his hands, and it's like,
that guy's fun.
Oh, I don't want to help this guy, and it's like, well, fuck you. You got locked into this mission preemptively by accepting it like 30 minutes ago. So now literally everything that happens in this mission, you can't make any choices about. You just have to just play out, and be like, oh, wow, are you the true villain? And it's like, I'm not making choices. There's one way to play this level. I can't do anything else.
I remember that.
And that happened every level.
It only happened to me a couple of times, I think.
Like almost every level, I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm just cool. I love how in the moment I can't make any choices. I just got to just sit through these environments where my character is just like cool with all the stuff for some reason. And it's like when I picked a side, and of course it's like you have to pick one of the sides. So here we go.
But you're gonna pray.
You don't have the context for what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a trick. They do that on purpose, and it's just very blatant.
It's like stupid Spec Ops shit, basically.
Yeah. But you were gonna praise it though. Why?
Oh, the judge. I already said. it's like Patriarch, but good. Because it's like, oh, it's the big thing that's judging your entire playthrough.
Yeah.
I would prefer if they did the Morrowind thing, where like, as we were on our adventure and doing stuff, someone just casually kept coming into our combat to try to murder us. Like assassins just kept following us.
Assassin guy that's you've installed the Tribunal DLC, so we're gonna keep murdering you at random intervals when you're low level, and you're not gonna be able to do anything about it. Fuck you.
Yeah, that would be great. Like, that would have been such a better outcome for like pissing off the Patriarch. It's just like, look, just get rid of those guys in the shadows or whatever, and we just be able to like, we'd be do it in the middle of a fight. We're just like, okay, we're gonna beat his ass. Like, there they are, kill him. It's like,
badly integrated DLC.
Oh, it was, but.
You just get attacked by an assassin at random intervals and he just murders you. So it's like, I hope you saved recently. And then at the end, like eventually, like after a few hours, you're going to successfully kill one of them. And now you have like game breaking equipment.
Yes, that too. It's not only super difficult to kill them, but when you do, it just breaks your progression for an entire armor.
And then all the comments are all about how I'm ruining the game by you wearing the armor that I fucking earned.
Wearing the armor that he gives you.
Like the game was ruined by it being badly made. They did a bad job.
What you need to do is you need to get the armor
gold there. What do you mean don't read the gold files? I earned them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morrowind is a brilliant game in that regard, at how breakable it is. That's good. I think that is good. I like that. I like that you can jump for hours on end without stopping. And because you just install a shirt that eliminates stamina reduction.
I mean, the weird quirks of the magic that you have to work for are more interesting than an expansion feature just shitting on the entire game's progression on a whim and being basically unavoidable. And you just have to, like, on our system, decide not to use it, assuming you even know it's from an expansion, which why would you?
Exactly.
When you buy it any year other than the first year of it being out.
But also, all you need to do is talk to one person in Ebonheart. And they stop. You just talk to them, and they stop forever.
But by then, the damage is too late. You've already gotten bullshit assassin gear, and you're overpowered.
Yeah, because you only need to kill the one, and you actually need to kill the one, otherwise you don't get the quest, I think. Because you need to tell him, oi, this assassin tried to kill me. And now I look like them. Don't ask questions.
Incidentally.
Yeah.
You killed my brother, prepare to die.
Well, that's the fun, right?
Speaking of janky RPGs, here comes Elex 2.
Can't wait. Oh, man, I've been reminiscing about Elex's writing. and it is really bad.
Is it true? If there's any truth to it.
What?
It must be true if it's true. Is it true? Only you can tell.
Is it true? I have a highlight to send you, Andrew, of the game just shutting down in my face. Just word soup. Just nothing. Just like, it's like several glitchy interactions happening back to back, but also some of the dialogue is just on its own bad without that happening. And it's all happening in like 30 seconds. And I just lose my fucking mind.
I honestly, like, the writing is consistently bad.
Yeah, like, it's like you shouldn't RPG. Trust anyone out here. Like, it's like a folksy, helpful, like, and then he attacks you immediately. And you're like, wait.
But like a lot of the dialogue, even though it's bad, it's like, you know, you get this quest, you complete this quest, you get this reward. It's all, you know, RPGs have that sort of charm where it can be bad, but you still get somewhere. You get the things, but. Like the problem is the game has I think the game has aspirations to be more than just utilitarian dialogue for quests, and then at the end of the game it just all falls apart. And I think I got out of Elex with a better sort of, pardon the expression, taste in my mouth
because you didn't play the epilogue like I did.
Exactly, I didn't play the epilogue, which is like an hour and something of content after the game is ending. Yeah. It's just like. More bad writing. It's all the bad
so
writing.
Bad because the game tries to like put a hat on what you did so far, and it's like desperately trying to recap or react to the outcome of your behavior, but not without having that many actual checks in the coding. So it's like there's only like 3 flavors of ice cream basically. So each of the factions is either so mad they want to murder you, or they're like in love with you now, and it's just like a weird soup of random things happening. And like, and also you'll and some of them will just trigger like 3 consecutive conversations that all like clash with each other as they're trying to brute force resolve all of the things that have happened since you last talked to them.
And also, let's not forget the voice acting. I mean, no disrespect for the actors, they work, they're I can't do better job than them. But it was bad. It was bad voice acting, and the main character had bad. It was bad. And it did not help. Like, you can have bad writing if you have interesting voice acting. It can carry the game. But no, that one was just. It's ingrained in my head, the voice of the main character, and him just saying the most banal shit. He just says the most banal shit all day, every day.
He's so boring to look at and listen to. You get a sequel out of this guy. If you
can't wait.
anyone who wants the context, you can look up on YouTube. Elex highlight, is it true? And you'll get just 2 minutes of what? And that was like my closing experience with the whole game was the farewell tour with everyone. So like that's my memory of Elex more than anything else that happened. It's my memory more than what the plot was about. Like, I struggle to remember what the climax was and what the choices were, or what the antagonist was.
Sounds like a pretty good story then.
I can't really tell you the plot of Elex. I pretty much just can tell you the Berserkers existed and the Outlaws existed.
The Berserkers and their obsession with technology. It's like any technology, and
the Berserkers were the farmers, weren't they? They're like the squeeze the animate wood farmers,
bridges and crossbow.
And I love that the Outlaws were just like a completely incoherent ideology.
Oh,
like,
those were so bad.
Everyone else is like some kind of organization, and the Outlaws are just like. It's like fucking.
They were so bad.
It's like a group from Divergent got into an RPG, and like they're the parkour dudes, and like, what do you guys do? We do parkour. It's like, wow, that's a whole part of society. It's weird.
But we're not nice or smart.
Have you seen Divergent?
No, I know the premise though.
Jesus Christ. Because it's like we're the smart technology people and we're the caregiver people, and like there's all these different factions that make up society, and then one of them's just like, we're the parkour people, we do parkour, we're so radical.
But those are not the Divergent. The Divergent are the ones that are
they're not the Divergent.
People at the same time.
They're rad dudes. They're the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle faction.
If you happen to be a farmer and smart, you're hunted down for your crimes.
Yeah, because you can't have 2 personality traits. That's insane.
That's so dumb.
I'm so sad there's not going to be a final movie in that series. I need to see it.
But honestly, better than Elex. It was honestly better than Elex. That premise and the execution.
I feel like one day we have to do a watch party of the Divergent movies and fucking Maze Runner. Oh God, I just remembered Maze Runner.
I don't remember Maze. I don't know what that is. Was it worse?
It's the most. It might be the funniest YA movie series ever. Is Maze Runner, because it just like every movie in itself is just insane as a concept, but every single movie ends with like a earth-shattering revelation moment. And they clearly just like wrote it at the time, and then just had to like deal with it later, basically. And it's like, fuck, this is my. I gotta deal with that now. And it's like they're so fucking absurd. Like it. I could never explain Maze Runner to someone. I just have to just show them to it. Here you go. It's a ride. It's like Zero Escape the movies. Like that level of like, wow. Oh, that's the reveal we're going with for the end of this movie. Cool. 1/6 gravity.
Oh, and did you... I don't remember if you saw the romance scene with the... I don't remember her name. There was one companion who... So you always are a man. Your main character is always a man, right? And there's 3 women companion, if I remember correctly. And one of them had black hair. And I think you might be able to romance all of them. I don't remember. Did you see any romance scenes in Elex, Keith?
Oh, I barely remember Elex.
Because there was one romance scene, I burst out laughing how bad it was. Because, like, from a just romance writing perspective, it was just so outstanding how bad it was written.
I mean, the idea that any of those characters you could possibly care about to like romance.
No, you get points. Don't you remember that you get +5 or +10, like, basically every time you did something for them?
It'd be a struggle to even piece together all the shit that happened in Elex, but oh my God, there were so many. That was an adventure. We desperately have to stop though. We're so over time.
We do.
Yeah,
we've hit the period where we talk about RPGs for an hour, and Andrew's waiting
again
to leave.
I've never played any of these games, and I never will. So just letting you guys have a good time.
You played that one though.
I guess I played a couple. I played a couple of them, but they're games I try to actively avoid. You better not murder any more of my children, or I swear to God. I mean, I'm gonna be so mad at you. Like I don't know. They just are never going to be games made for me. They're just
no, there are. There's Banjo-Kazooie.
God.
Banjo-Kazooie's not an RPG. The fuck's wrong with
games?
No, I meant like
everything's
RPGs.
an RPG because you play a role.
No.
I don't know. I just don't interact with stories very well. Stories are kind of like a hindrance to me and what I want to do, which is like play every game like Doom. And so when a game's
I had
like,
another encounter with a fucking r/let's play person. Fuck, we'll have to bring that up next time.
Oh God.
Okay, let's tune in next time to see what
cliffhanger, guys.
So fucking you can always smell them.
What?
From their comment and how stupid they are, you can tell who they're from r/let's play, and then you like search it, and you're like, there they are. They're in r/let's play. This is just a fucking cesspool.
Next time in Dialogue Choices.
Unless we forget.
Bye. I will. Bye.
Bye.